Roadkill by the numbers. 2 buddies, 426 Hemi, 4 speeds, and Dana 60. We're building it out of the junkyard.
Hemi Belvedere.
We are back at Performance Auto in Burlington, Wyoming, and we're gonna build a Hemi Belvedere in the boneyard.
I've never been here. I've never seen this car. The thing is almost like brand new.
Yeah, it really is. And so is that one over there. They got another Belvedere since the last time I was here. This junkyard, or actually like personal collection, is basically a Mopar specialist. They have a whole bunch of project vehicles here. That's what this one was. It's a 69 Plymouth Belvedere, no engine, no trans, and I brought parts, which I'll fill you in on, to make this thing great. And I'm gonna need both these guys' help because we've got 5 days and we're gonna replace every nut and bolt in the whole drivetrain. Fortunately, they cleared the shop for us, so you wanna help me push it in?
It's my favorite thing to do. This thing rolls great.
And I think Freiburger must be doing most of the pushing.
Who, what, when, where, why? Who? Steve Dulcich. So Dulcich is like one of my key enablers, and he's been grinding me to get a 68 or 69 Roadrunner to match his Rec Runner. Thing is, they were like 20 grand and such. So when Finnegan and I were on a road trip in the General Mayhem and stopped here at Performance Auto in Wyoming, I found what I needed. We're buying this one.
Dude, this has great paint on it.
Totally have this. Which brings us to the what. This is a 1969 Plymouth Belvedere. This car's original 318 car with a 3 on the tree, so it was a stick. The thing is, it was so much cheaper than a Roadrunner, but it's the same car. You may not be aware that a Roadrunner is essentially just a high-performance Belvedere. Plymouth back then took their cheapest, lowest end, lightest weight, no-frills car, and they added bigger engines, bigger brakes, bigger torsion bars, sway bars, and some stickers and stripes and garbage, and called them a Roadrunner, and it was a huge, huge hit. The 1969 Roadrunner was the Motor Trend Car of the Year. I know you're dying to know, I paid $7,000 for this thing. Then the when, right now. The why, okay. I've been a Mopar guy probably since day one, since I was a teenager. And in more recent years, I've been fairly critical of the 426 Hemi. I think they're overpriced. I think they're super heavy. I think they don't make the torque that a wedge could. So I'm not a huge fan. But at the same time, the Mopar stroke in me has always wanted some kind of Hemi car that I could just turn the key and drive like it was nothing. And so that's what this car is gonna be. So recall that we had built the Hemi Gremmy together a long time ago. And we installed a 426 Hemi iron head motor, but then we broke a rocker arm on the Gremlin and had to abandon a road trip. That side. So that's when Finnegan and friends swiped the thing, brought it over to his place, built a new Hemi for it. A new Hemi that I had actually given him in trade when we were first building the Blasphemy 55 Chevy. And then that engine ended up getting fragged, and it was sitting in his place. He had Bostic Racing engines go through it. It makes 700 horsepower. It now lives in the Hemi Gremmy, which left me with the spare 426 kicking around. And that's why we're able to have that used Hemi ready to stab in this car. So in the next 5 days, we have to install a Hemi, a used A833 4-speed that I got from here at the yard, and a used Dana 60 that I bought from another friend. I think I thought of every possible part that we could use, because right here, right now, we are an hour from any auto parts store. So I got to build it with all the parts that I thought of, and of course, probably some scraps from this Mopar junkyard.
We've already made more progress today on this project than we made in the entire first day of that Mustang project in Washington.
Oh yeah, that was horrible.
We didn't get very far on day number 1. This is great.
Basically, the car needs engine, trans, drive shaft, rear end, rear suspension, cooling,
Everything that makes it go.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you want to go engine and trans first, or do you want to go rear axle first?
Well, it has a rear axle currently.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the last thing.
All right, so let's put the Hemi together.
Okay.
All right, that's step 1. Assemble Hemi.
Mike, you want to help me get the hood off?
Oh, yeah. Right when you are, sir.
Okay. Just hold up the front a little bit. Oh, wow. We just handled that like nothing.
It's pretty light, too.
Yeah.
Steve, can you tighten this around? There we go. Stop. That's it.
Okay.
Yep. mint.
Oh, that doesn't go to a main cap. What does that go to?
There's a main cap right here. There's an angle bracket, but we're not using it. I'm changing the oil pan because I've learned my lesson so many times about like thrashing on dirt and corners without a road race pan. Okay. I think that's it, right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna need some pipe plugs. Bink. All right, oil pump next. There we go.
One of the things I want to do is modify the steering column. Now, this is a column shift car, so it has these arms here, which come off the bottom of the column and activate the transmission shifter. And they're just in the way when we're going to put that big Hemi in there. So I'm going to cut those off. It actually came out pretty good.
The 426 Hemi uses a different motor mount than the other big block V8s in the Chrysler line. The good news is that the K-member in the car is the same, be it a 318 or a big block. The thing is, the Hemi won't bolt to the big block K-member unless you've got this kit right here from Schumacher Creative Services. It is an adapter mount that allows the Hemi 3-bolt pattern to go onto that K-member. A normal 440 or 383 would have like cast-in ears that come off here. This has this instead. Now, the other thing you need to know about the Hemi is these 3 bolts right here are not blind. They go all the way through to the crankcase, so they will leak oil. So you do need to seal them a little bit.
All right, I hear good things happening.
It's the sound of a beer being cracked open, or what are we talking about here? What kind of good things? And I know we're gonna break this in properly for 200 or 300 miles before the first burnout or, drag race. So I'm gonna go the extra mile and wipe my handprints off of this. 80 to 120 grit surface finish, driving 750 miles on the highway. We don't need that kind of negativity here on Roadkill, so we're just gonna send it.
A little higher?
We don't have our dowels in the back of this block.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good catch. Finnegan had the astute observation that the dowel pins were missing from the back of the block, and those are critical for locating the bell housing. And he probably knew that because you probably took them out. That's my guess.
Yeah?
So there's supposed to be a stack of big blocks over here. We're gonna go find it. Here's 440s. Well, I found a couple big block Chryslers here that have the parts that we need, including distributor hold down and dowel pins on the bell housing surface.
I have my feet down on terra firma. When it comes to taking out dowel pins, I don't live in illusion, I'm not trying to send a rocket to Mars. I know that they're gonna be stuck.
These are all big blocks.
And they're firma.
Now, if you had a small block, they go all the way through and you can hammer them.
Oh, this is working, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
You're a genius.
Attaboy.
Are you?
There you go.
Next one.
Ah,
Got it.
bingo.
Now we can put the engine in the car.
Like butter.
Right there.
Want a souvenir?
We have our new dowels in the block. We're gonna bolt the bell housing on with a couple bolts, and we're actually gonna test fit the transmission out here just to make sure everything's cool and that the splines will line up with the pilot bearing in there. And that way, hopefully we don't have to fight it as much once we get underneath the car.
This little ear right here. I used to say we're not very good at this, and that used to bother Freiburger. And now my opinion has changed. This is season 13. We are very good at this. You know how I know? Because last year we'd have got all excited and just thrown the Hemi in the car and then spent the next 4 hours on our backs finding out that, oh, hey, the bell housing doesn't go on. And when you try to put the headers on, they hit the bell housing. But not today. No. We're test fitting things. Perfect. Oh, yeah. We're good.
Cleared?
Yeah, let's try the other side. It clears it. Let's just slide the trans in and see if it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we just need to turn it.
Okay, it's not in the spline yet.
I think it's trying to, but it's stuck on the disc.
So what's going on here is that he's trying to mimic the struggle that we're gonna have underneath the car later by solving it now. The Hemi 4-speed is distinguished by an 18 spline input, and this has a 23. It's just the transmission that was available, so it's a little smaller. It's not technically correct, but we don't care.
You know, we're trying to test fit things and make sure that once it's in the car, we don't have a problem putting the transmission and mating it to the back of the motor. And sure enough, it does not want to go in there. It could be that our clutch disc is not perfectly in line with the back of the crank and the trans. It's out of alignment. The tool won't even go in now. So we need to loosen up the clutch.
Nice. We just did this on Finnegan's Daytona, and we know that with this oil pan, it won't go in with the clutch and flywheel because it'll hit the firewall. So we should remove it after all that trouble we just went through.
We spent so much effort getting the clutch perfectly aligned, and now it's got to come back off.
Oh, that disc is slippery.
This car is, at this moment, getting a Hemi for the very first time.
It is.
In a shop that's never had a Hemi in it before.
Yes.
That's what they said. Looking good.
Let's get the headers in.
Let's go halfway down first. Wow, that wants to go down really quickly.
They're gonna have to kick
Why don't you get this header in? This Hemi's 426 inches, and it has been built up a little bit. It started out as a Mopar crate engine. It's 10-to-1 compression. It has a small hydraulic roller cam in it. It's like 242 at 50, I think. And on our Engine Masters show, this thing made 560 horsepower. So it's not a killer, but it'll be fun.
We are real close to my motor mount.
Yeah, you're square over the motor mount. That header is gonna...
You've got it too far back.
If you go down, then that helps my situation.
All right, here comes down, very carefully.
So this isn't perfectly aligned because the screwdriver will go through it, but this bolt won't.
Coming up.
Is that engine tilting?
Yeah,
Or am I crushing the oil pan?
it's tilting.
It's tilting.
Let's go slow. Oof. Yikes. Now's when we find out how rusty this is underneath. Okay, this will go right on. Let's bolt it in. Okay, go.
Before we put this header in, let's put the flywheel and the clutch in.
This is disturbingly easy. I feel like something's about to go wrong.
Don't talk
David,
about it.
why would you say that?
Now we're going to install the clutch again after we test fit it outside of the car. This is a McLeod Street Extreme setup. I like it because it's got the ceramic pucks on both sides of the discs. And Steve and I have figured out that these withstand our abuse right out of the box better than like the typical friction material. Okay,
Good?
I think so. There we go. We're actually about to try and put the transmission in. We've been making incredible progress. The B-body actually uses a different cross member for a 4-speed than it does for a 3-speed or an automatic. So I had to order that on eBay. They didn't have one here at the yard.
Get a little on the tip, you know, just.
This thing's actually really rust-free. It's undercoated, which is a bummer to me, but it's not bad.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
tail up.
It should go in. I don't know how we're looking left to right, but this thing should go in. The back of the trans has to come up a little bit.
There we go.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
Nailed it.
Is it all the way in?
It's real close. We just need to put bolts in it. Trans is in.
It's installed but not tightened. We still have a lot to do. But I'm concerned about the piece of wood that we put between the Hemi and a firewall. I hope it's not caving in my firewall right now.
Look, a Hemi and a Belvedere.
I know.
That's pretty sweet.
Right on that way.
And
I'm just gonna take the chain off right now because I don't think we're gonna need it.
No.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this was the most successful first day in the history of any roadkill shoot.
it was pretty incredible.
Like, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was pretty amazing.
It's in the car.
Yeah. Day 2, we cranked it yesterday.
Yeah, we got so much done. Oh my God.
So, Steve, what's your plan for today?
Well, I mean, I think we have a whole bunch of stuff to do here at the back of the car.
Well, I think you guys are gonna mess with that, and I'm gonna go to the front and finish up bolting the headers in, bolting the trans in.
Ah! Stay.
That is 60 inches.
60. Okay, that sounds right.
58 and a half.
But then add the
But then we have
rotor
to add the
thickness.
rotor hats.
It's a 1/4 inch per side, so
So it's 59.
59. So it's an inch narrower.
It'll work.
Let's measure the perch width. 44 3/4.
Oh, these are way narrow. These are 35 and a half.
Well, we are in luck. We can weld a brand new set of perches like these on our new rear end without even removing the old ones, saving all kinds of time, which makes me happy.
Oh, wow, that was a good one.
Okay.
It's frightening.
All right, I'm just wrapping up the headers here. These are a 2 1/8 inch header. That's the primary size from TTI Exhaust. I got the chrome ones because they're cheaper than the ceramic coated ones, and they fit really well. However, you cannot fit a bigger torsion bar in this car without denting the header. Aside from that, mint.
Oh,
294 gear set in this thing.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd have done great burnouts.
Yes, it's a cool suspension company from back in the day. It made these big, long lift shackles that on this car were used just because the leaf springs were completely flat. But the added bonus of these is someone put them on upside down. This is supposed to go down so that you can pick your ride height with 3 different spring positions. We're just assuming that this gas tank's all full of crud, so we're replacing it. Okay, we gotta work the fill tube out of its grommet. Okay, you catching?
Got it.
Out. Hardly got anything in it.
Look at this, new leaf springs. We are replacing a worn out set that were virtually flat with the weight of the car sitting on them. These are aftermarket springs. These are from Mopar Performance. These are specifically for a car that has a Hemi in it. The passenger side of the car has 1 more leaf than the driver's side.
Here's a little problem that's going to delay putting in the rear end. We're going to weld these spring perches on, but the hole right here that indexes to the pin on the leaf spring is oversized. So we need to bush that down. We don't have any kind of tubing that's going to do that job. So I'm going to take this shank style lug nut, going to turn down the outside till it fits in that spring perch just perfectly. And then we'll take a 1/2 inch drill it out in the middle, and that'll fit the pin. And here we have the perfect adapter to make that spring perch work with our leaf spring. What we're doing right now is we're going to loosely bolt the rear end on. The spring perches are in place. And then once the U-bolts are in, we can just jack it up and the whole assembly will come up. We can mount the rear spring hangers. The question is, this is a race. Will I get my side done before Freiburger?
No. That's the spot. All right, tell me when to stop.
It's pointed down a little bit.
All right, now that we have it sort of mocked up in there and the axle is centered side to side, we're gonna put the wheels and tires on and put weight on the car so that we can then determine the pinion angle before we weld in the leaf spring perches.
The problem we have is the studs on our rear end are super long racing studs, and those take an open-ended lug nut. So I'm gonna take these shank-type lug nuts, because we can't buy replacements that are open-faced, and just grind the cap off the end of it so that they can screw all the way on the stud and tighten the wheels up. So, okay, that's all done.
This is it, the first time we're gonna set the car all the way down on the ground with the new wheels, tires, springs, and differential. We're gonna set it down and then figure out our pinion angle. Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Wow.
Not bad.
That is tucking a lot of tire.
Yeah. So this is a 15x8 with a 275/60/15 on the back. And the back spacing and stuff is weird because this rear end ends up being a little narrower than stock. We're actually gonna wanna space the wheels out. There's too much space here, but it looks like it doesn't sit too bad.
No, and the front will come down when you put the right size tire on it.
Today we had some slowdowns and it wasn't quite as much of a win as yesterday, but we do have the entire drivetrain in the car. Hemi, 4-speed and Dana 60. So we're gonna call it for the night. We'll be back tomorrow and this thing will be even more victorious. I do love it though. It's great.
It's just getting better and better.
Yep, thank you guys for all the labor. Good morning. Big rain last night, more coming in over there. I'm out shopping. We realized that I neglected to order a fuel pump for the Hemi. I just need to find a 361, a 3D3, a 440, and find out if the fuel pump will oink or not. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's see if I can find one. This is my unit right here. Here we go. And there's the pump. Remember I mentioned to you that I'm gonna find out if it oinks? You gotta know if the diaphragm inside the thing is wasted or not. And if you move the lever and it sort of makes an oinking sound, then you're usually pretty good. That one is locked up solid. That's junk, okay? All right, well this one oink. Nah, this is gonna be frozen solid also. Yep, that's junk. Aha, found another one. Ugh. These are all rusted solid. Ugh. All right, I'm gonna try one more and then I'm gonna call it. That one's also locked up. I'm giving up, it's freezing. We're gonna go back and see if I can find a way to get a fuel pump brand new here this afternoon. Whoa, 440s, you failed me. I'm gonna install the drive shaft. Even though the rear U-joint is wrong, we have the fuel pump on order. We also have a conversion U-joint on order. However, I can mock it up in there so that we can set the car down and start looking at that pinion angle that we didn't do yesterday. And then we will zap the leaf spring pads in place. The other thing we're gonna find out right now is if the drive shaft that we ordered blind is the right length and, ooh, yes. We scored. I am just going to put the caps on this and hold that in, even though, so you can see the cup size is too small for the yoke.
Breakfast.
Okay, one down.
Oh, you're there, buddy. Done.
Now we're back to what we left behind yesterday, which is dropping it on the ground, putting weight on the car, setting the pinion angle, and then tacking the leaf spring pads in place. A little more forward. Try it. Okay, stop. I think that's rotating, right?
Well, they're rotated all right.
Yeah. Drive shaft 0. Yeah, I get 9 degrees on the yoke and I get 11 degrees on the web.
Oh, that's ballpark where we want it, right?
Probably. Okay, the drive shaft is 2.
2 down.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty much what they normally are, something like that.
Yep.
Dave and Steve got the pinion angle all dialed in on the rear end, which means I can now go under there and MIG weld just little tacks to hold the saddles to the axle tubes. If I throw one more tack on it, we could lift it up. With the wheels off, I might be able to weld the thing without taking the axle back out. The car is off the ground, in the air, the wheels are off, because I'm just gonna do all the welding here. We're not even gonna take the rear end out, because I think we're just all really excited to finish this thing and hear it roar to life.
I keep wanting to put it down and work on the engine, but we have a ton more to do underneath. Like the rear brakes, need the rotors cleaned, mount the calipers, hoses, hard lines.
Vice grip and the whole back of the brake system's done, bro.
It's possible.
I'll start coordinating getting all the braking system working in the back.
Okay.
I'm excited to get to the part where we work on the Hemi.
Yeah, we can make the Hemi run all we want and the car's still not drivable without all this stuff though.
Hey, the parts are in there. Hey, and the shoes are new.
It's all brand new, leave it alone. That wasn't adjusted good. Or well. Like new, good enough. I mean, it's only got a Hemi for power. 10-inch brakes should be fine. The older Mopars came with left-handed lug nuts on the left-hand side of the car. The theory being, I guess, that the lug nuts wouldn't spin off with the rotation of the wheel. Jeeps did this too. I'm gonna change the drum on the driver's side to a drum from the passenger side so that I get regular lug nuts. Blech. I'll be changing to disc brakes soon enough on this thing.
Our used Dana 60 rear end came with this really nice Wilwood brake assembly. The only problem is it didn't come with all the hardware, so we're gonna get that tomorrow. Meanwhile, I've got everything mocked up. I've got the rotor in place, and I'm gonna mock up the caliper. Mike welded some tabs on the rear end because we're running flexible hose back here off the caliper that allows it to be removed and put back on without having to disconnect the hydraulic system. Then we're gonna plumb the hard lines, and all of this rear portion of the braking system will be all done.
All right, we've done everything we can underneath the car. Next, Hemi power. Yeah, we're gonna put dual quads on this thing. Oh, and then it hit again.
How in the world could it be hitting it, though? Yeah, can you go ahead and turn it, David?
Okay. Yep, I think.
Oh, wow. The head of the ring gear is this part of the flywheel, and it's hitting the body of the starter. For the last half hour, we've been staring at this car going, why doesn't the engine want to turn over very easily? And I look up and I see that the body of the starter is actually hitting the flywheel. And I'm really hoping that when he moves this starter out of the way, that solves the whole problem.
Spin it.
Easy. Easy.
I need 3 easies.
Easy.
Yes.
That's it.
4 easies.
Easy.
We're fixed.
Yeah, so the engine is good now, but I feel something right there.
Yeah, it's still up
I can
against
feel
it.
it on the starter because I have my hand on it.
There.
Yeah, it just machined the flywheel with the starter body. So we just need to put a little chamfer on it. And she'll be good to go. I'll get a grinder. Woo! Starter's hitting the flywheel, that's no good. We need to shave the body of the starter down right where it's contacting the flywheel. So we've got to take probably 3/16 of an inch worth of material off this thing so that it doesn't hit the flywheel anymore. So if you guys remember, this particular Hemi hasn't seen any action since the last time it was between the fenders of the Gremlin. And the reason is that we actually had a push rod, this one right here, pop out of the lifter, pop out of the rocker arm adjuster.
If you've got any kind of adjustable valve train, you can glance at the adjuster nuts and look at where the set screw is in relation to the nut. And look at all of these, how they're virtually flush, and then boom. You go to this one and you can see that that adjuster is backed way off and you go, there's probably a problem here. And then you do this, oops. That's a disaster.
That rocker arm, the cup of the adjuster was wasted, so was the body of the rocker. So we bought a new one and we need to install it, but first we need to install a new lash cap on top of the valve. You need to make sure the lash cap actually sits flat on top of the valve stem tip because sometimes it can get stuck on the keeper in there. I'm gonna find out what our depth is in our little keeper there using a cotter pin. And I'm gonna mark the cotter pin with a very fine tip Sharpie. I'm gonna place the cotter pin into the bottom side of the lash cap. And then I'm gonna sit there and compare my mark. And that'll tell me, will this sit flat on the tip of the valve, or is this thing gonna bottom out on the keeper that's holding the retainer to the valve?
Mike is adjusting the preload on that one lifter where we removed the rocker arm. This thing has a hydraulic roller camshaft in it, which is unusual for me. And so what he's gonna do is rotate the push rod as he's tightening the adjuster until he just feels it a little bit dragging, and then he'll give it probably half a turn and then lock her down.
Done.
We're working on the engine now, and we're gonna finally make it look like a Hemi. I'm gonna drop the dual quad setup on this thing. This manifold is just like a production dual plane, except the carburetor pads are spread apart so that you can have Hollies on here instead of the Carter carburetors. Okay, got this all cleaned up and ready to go. And plunk.
Wow, that looked reckless, and yet it was as precise as could be.
Of course, Steve. That was a precision plonk.
Think this will clear the hood?
This car came with a column shift manual transmission, and the floor shift car came with this auxiliary hump and a hole cut into the floor pan. So we've got to add that component. I've got the floor marked. It had already been hacked out pretty roughly, so I've got to cut it out for shifter clearance. Then we'll weld this in, and we'll have converted this thing to a proper floor shift car.
One of the signatures of the Hemi engine is that the spark plug is at top dead center, right between the two valves, and that means that the spark plug goes right down the middle of the valve cover, which means you need these tubes that go down here and seal it off, and the spark plug threads in at the bottom of the tube into the cylinder head. Honestly, mine are a little bit sketchy because these valve covers don't perfectly fit this valve train, and we've got 2 gaskets and a 1/4-inch steel spacer in there to make it seal. Goes right like pink that.
Finnegan and I are making a new throttle bracket. I'm cutting, he's gonna weld and fab.
We're just fiddling with the small details. Finnegan just made a genius throttle cable and return spring setup. I got a fuel pump push rod with a bronze tip because of the billet camshaft. Oh, the guys from the Junkyard had a brand new fuel pump. Probably not what I would have chosen for myself, but hey, it's gonna make the Hemi run. That's all we're trying to do. What are you guys gonna do next?
Cross something off, hopefully. I feel like we did a lot this morning.
Yeah.
But I gotta be honest, there's not a lot on here to
No,
cross.
probably not. I'm about to put all sorts of grease on the fuel pump push rod so that it sticks up in its hole so I can put the fuel pump in. Ready? Bloop.
Well, right now Freiburger is finishing up the rear brake line, which caps off the entire brake system on the back half of the car. Dulcich is under the bottom of the car, hooking up a new Hurst shifter, and somehow I got sucked into the nightmare that is wiring the starter, which is behind the header, and I can't see anything. So I'll be over here, crying.
Can you adjust that one so it goes in there?
And first, second, third, fourth, reverse.
Our rear end takes a 1350 U-joint, which is kind of a big one, and the drive shaft was made with 7290s, which were the heavy-duty U-joints for a Mopar. But we got this combination joint that's 7290 on one side 1350 on the other. I'm gonna knock this old one out and I'm gonna slam this one in using nothing but a hammer. Well, that just about installed itself. Now I'm gonna go put it in the car. That's it. Drive shaft completely done.
I think at some point in this car's life, it got in a fight with something much stronger than it was, and well, it bent the core support in a fashion that doesn't allow us to install a radiator. So I'm just gonna beat it into submission here, or I'm gonna swing and hit my thumb. It's not really working, but it's fun. I think I moved it.
That's it. There you go. It's actually tweaking it and straightening it. The radiator will probably go in now. I mean, it's still all tweaked, but it's gonna go. We're finally ready to get the radiator in here. Let me give you a couple tips about Mopar muscle car radiators. There's two sizes basically, a 22-inch core and a 26-inch core. This thing had a 318 engine in it originally and had the 22-inch core. We're gonna be putting a 26-inch core that is actually out of a C-body, which would be like a Town & Country or a full-size Polara. What you should do when you install the bigger radiator is cut this section out right here so that you got more airflow, but honestly, we're running out of time. We gotta get this thing going. So we're gonna drop the radiator in. Mike just drilled a hole and we're gonna bolt it in and it's gonna work even with the 22-inch opening. This is yet another come back and make it right later kind of moment.
This car is rapidly becoming one of my favorites.
Great. Those guys gave me this shroud off of this radiator. Man, this thing is gonna cool good.
I really have my fingers crossed that all the wiring on the car is still good, but one thing we didn't have was the ignition key. Now that might seem like an insurmountable problem, but we're at a wrecking yard with a whole bunch of Mopars, so I got a new ignition, or let's say an old ignition, with the key, and I got the old one out. All I've got left to do here is tighten up the bezel, and that installation is all done. It'll be a miracle if it works, but I'm gonna see if this will make the starter bark.
Whoa!
Wow!
Nice.
Freiburger.
Don't crank it long. There's no pipe plug in the back of the block. It'll
That's a total win.
full win. That means we can make this run. I have to like scab an MSD on here and we'll be good to fire it up after we plug that pipe plug. Wow, look at that. Actual coolant, or should I say antifreeze, because it freezes here in Wyoming, and this thing's gonna stay here for a little while. We're right now at the point of like rushed butchering. The wiring is a disaster, but it's functional. We just want to hear the thing run tonight. So I think we gotta do the antifreeze. It needs fluid in the transmission so we don't spin that dry.
Gas in the tank,
Gas in the tank,
turn the key.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be loud.
You might think this is full of sweet honey barbecue sauce, but it's actually premium high-octane gasoline. It's the perfect size to inject the gasoline right into the bowl without spilling a drop.
You got the extinguisher? Just.
When this backfires because the ignition's too far advanced, that's got to be a big fire.
There we go.
That's a lot of gas.
Wow, that's a moderate amount.
I'm ready to start it. How about you?
I'm pretty flammable myself.
The pump shot.
It has it. I just checked it.
Oh, okay. Ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh! First try! Dude! Yes! Yay! That's all we needed to know. We wanted to be a little further ahead tonight, but hey, it's driving tomorrow.
We have a running 426 Hemi.
Dude, nice work, fellas.
Yep. Thank you guys for all that thrash. I mean, it's a little butch around the edges, but it's a perfect start.
I'm gonna sleep good tonight.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because we're gonna do burnouts tomorrow.
Yes, we are. This feels like our final major step. We have to make the clutch linkage work. Obviously, we already have the throwout bearing in there, but we need the clutch fork, we need the push rod, we need the Z-bar, we need the rod from the pedal to the Z-bar. it's gonna take a little fiddling.
What I think is going to be the last step here is putting in the Z-bar, which goes from the bell housing to the frame and activates all the clutch operation. What do you think, Mike?
I feel like your plan of using worn out parts to pivot on
Yes.
is the way to go, because the new ones don't fit.
They're too tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wrestle this thing up in there.
There you go. Oh, smooth.
Yeah.
Like butter.
Ah, these offset washers are terrible. Shocks are on.
Battery's mounted. This will be pretty sweet if this fits.
I know. I do not have high hopes, but I do hope. And we attempt it. All right. We're gonna actually try and drive it.
Who gets to drive?
Well, who do you think?
Hemi guy. I'm totally content to watch it zoom by, I gotta
Me
be
too.
honest.
I'm now Hemi Dave. I am ready.
Let's go. First drive.
Well, we did it!
Yeah! Thanks, awesome. Nice work, Dalton. Nice work, Freiburger. I wonder when the last time this ran and went down a road was.
Some grandma bought this thing new and putted it around with a 318 to 3-speed on the tree, and now it's a hot rod. There it is, my 1969 Plymouth Belvedere that is now loaded with a 426 Hemi, a 4-speed, and a Dana 60. I hope that I can actually live up to my dream of driving a Hemi car like it's nothing. Now, I realize not all of you have a spare Hemi sitting around, but here's what you need to do. Come up with some semblance of your dream car and just get some buddies and make it happen. Stack up the parts, assemble the car, make it run and drive, and you know what? It's gonna be rough around the edges. You're gonna need to tune it up. You're gonna have to fix the stance, but you will have a running, driving dream car, and that gives you the motivation to continue. Just like we do every time on Roadkill.
This time on Roadkill, we bring a redneck limo back to life, drive 500 miles across California, and Freiburger makes his best pass ever in his 56 Chevy. Just not on this one. It was before, you should have seen it. It was incredible.
Did the drive shaft fall out of it? All right, Finnegan, you ready for me to get all literary on you?
Oh, I love this part of the show.
Here it comes.
Yes.
The best laid plans of mouse motors and men may often go awry.
Very smooth.
What do you think? Robert Burns, he was a Scot. It was a poem or something like that. It was
I
great.
believe you.
Steinbeck wrote a book later of Mice and Men. Anyway, the plan that completely went upside down on this episode is that we wanted to take my completely lovable 56 Chevy and race it at the last 4 drag strips in California that I've never been to. Unfortunately, there's like 80 to 100% chance of rain for the next few days, which means it's going to be completely dry.
Yes, it usually works out that way.
It does. But we're on slicks, we have no side windows, it's going to spray the whole engine with water, and we have no wipers. These sound like a lot like excuses, don't they?
Opportunities is what I like to think of them as.
Normal roadkill, we just hop in this thing. But instead, we have an even more absurd plan. First of all, we're gonna put this on a trailer. Second of all, we're gonna tow it behind Mike's new truck.
You love my choice in vehicles. I know you do. This is amazing.
It's amazing. I'll give you that.
Oh, so this is a 1986 Chevrolet Crew Cab Dually that might have been stretched a little bit into a limousine for a very specific purpose. And that purpose was picking up patrons from one bar to take them to a club where people might take their clothes off, allegedly.
This isn't making me want to ride in this truck.
Well, I'm sure they cleaned it before they sold it to me, you know? No, they didn't. They did not at all. And I don't know if it runs or drives. There's a car phone, dude.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, look, wood grain wheel.
I'm all in.
Two-tone velour, brown carpet, dude. I mean,
It's disgusting. It's a big block. Does it run?
I mean, it did when I bought it, but I let it sit here for probably a year, so.
Here's the thing about this episode is Finnegan is absolutely showing his ass.
I didn't see it at first, but yeah, that's Harry S.
He's cute.
So we're at Hot Rod Ranch here in Lompoc, California, and we've been here a bunch of times because Gil and his brothers have a knack for finding all of the cool automotive treasures. In fact, they were the ones that found the '66 Corvette that I bought that we fixed up on Roadkill and road tripped here. And the last time we were here during that trip is when I fell in love with this red behemoth right here. We're gonna try to get it running here today by dragging it in the building, and then we're gonna road trip it with Freiburger's car on the back until we can find a drag strip that is not underwater.
That's good.
Sweet.
This is my 1956 Chevy that we call the field car. I bought it years ago as a bare body with no front clip. And the thing is, it was mint, no rust whatsoever. Meanwhile, the Hot Rod Garage Show on Motor Trend had a 56 Chevy that they rebuilt, and it had a rusty pile of garbage for a body, but they made the frame great. So on an episode of Roadkill Garage, Steve Dulcich and I did a body and frame swap. We put the Hot Rod Garage chassis underneath my 56 Chevy body. Later on, we ended up installing what we call the COVID 350. It's a 350 small block Chevy that I built during the pandemic lockdowns, and I just used like spare parts in my garage to make that happen. It made 500 horsepower on an episode of Engine Masters, and it runs to 7,000 RPM. This car's great. I think the quickest that it's been at this point in the quarter miles, 11:45 at like 118. And that's why I wanted to drag race it this week. And I don't think we're gonna get a shot until the very end of the episode when they claim it's not gonna rain. Okay, battery. Is there a switcher? How does this work?
There's a isolator right there.
Oh yeah.
And then there's a solenoid there, and there's a button on the dash, and you can switch from battery to battery. I'm pretty sure this one is dead.
This thing has got the 454 carbureted engine with 230 horsepower.
It's slow enough that you don't need a battery hold down in this. You just put it in there and call it good, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna see if it'll crank. Oh, wow. Only has one dead hole. Hear how it cranks fast once? That's one cylinder with no compression. Starting fluid, maybe? That's a quadjet. Install about a quart of gas in there. Ready?
Give it a shot.
That's gonna work.
All right. That sounds really bad.
Is this how it runs? Oh, the choke's completely closed. Hold on, let me get a screwdriver. See, it fires right up. Let me throw some more gas in it. Just a little splash.
Now we have fire.
Yeah, we do.
All right, we're troubleshooting. Why doesn't it want to run? Well, it's pretty apparent it doesn't have fuel going to the carburetor. We're not sure that both tanks have fuel in them. We're not sure that the switching selector valve between the tanks work. We're not sure the fuel pump's working. Is the ignition on?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead and switch it.
switched.
Switch it again. Oh, hold on.
I don't think the fuel switcher's doing anything. Either it's totally dead back here or I don't have a good ground. I'm not sure which. I don't know. You may want to check fuses.
Okay.
Because nothing's lighting up back here.
Heater, stop hazard, taillights, gauges, and there's a bunch of other aftermarket wires going in it. We're trying to troubleshoot the valve back there that switches between the passenger and driver's side tank, and it looks like there's no power, so we've bypassed the fuse block. Okay, it should be hot now, and we're jumping from the battery direct to back there, and then we'll see if this thing clicks up here and if it does anything. I clicked.
I don't think it's doing anything.
Then it must have another power wire. All right, we messed with that valve in the back. The next thing I'm gonna do is take off the fuel line at the carburetor to see if it's even squirting fuel.
You got a really good rhythm.
There's no fuel in that carburetor.
I'm gonna regret saying this out loud, but rarely has a problem been so obvious that I actually solve it on the first try. I crawled under the truck, trying to find a fuel filter, couldn't find one, but I grabbed this piece of hose, this one little piece of hose that connects the factory hard line from the fuel pump to the tank, and with 2 fingers I went, that's really squishy. And so I just replaced it, and when I was looking at it, I realized, oh, what? You can't see through this hose. So that's our clog. I have all kinds of fuel coming out of the factory hardline, nothing getting through this hose, and on the other side of this hose is our fuel pump. So we should be good now.
Finnegan found a guilty hose, so we're trusting that it's now gonna work. Ooh, I smell gas up here. There we go. It's alive! I have bad news.
The whole carb leaks?
The radiator's barfing everywhere, or something wet. See?
That's our fuel pump puking out of the little hole on the side of it.
Yes, it is. Oh, that's bad. We need a fuel pump.
We need a fuel pump. All right.
Hey, but your hose was a problem.
Right.
Right?
Well, our fuel pump's junk. We ordered a new one. We're waiting for it to arrive, and while I wait for that, I'm just gonna clean. Such luxury. Look at all the velour.
Our fuel pump arrived. While we were waiting, we loaded the 56 on the trailer. Now we're ready to make this change. I'm gonna clamp off the fuel line so that we don't have another big flood, and then I'm gonna force Mike to do this part of it. There you go.
Got it.
Great.
That's where the fuel was puking out earlier.
Okay, as I suspected, the holes in this fuel pump are not big enough for these bolts. They're drilled for 5/16. The engine uses 3/8.
There you go. That's the stuff. Solid.
The mechanical fuel pump is back in place, so we're gonna see if it runs. Pump it. No leak. It's working. You can hear it groaning a little bit, just like power steering does when you turn it all the way to the lock. That's the Hydro Boost, which is the system that uses the power steering pump to do the power brakes also. How do the brakes feel?
First 3 inches don't have anything, but then it has a pedal. I think they need to be bled.
It's drinking down the rear brakes.
It is? So we got a leak somewhere.
We can't catch a break because Roadkill. The master cylinder front half was bone dry.
Well, wheel cylinders in the morning. All right, so we'll stay in Lompoc.
All right, I'm done.
I had fun. I still love it.
It's the next morning, and big surprise, it's still not raining, but we're still working on the truck. Last night, we discovered that the brake pedal goes right to the floor, and one of the master cylinder reservoirs was completely dry, so we're gonna take apart the back brakes and have a look. One down, and now the spidery one. What we're dealing with here is what's called a full floating axle. This design prevents the weight of the vehicle from being carried by the axle. It's got wheel bearings in it, very similar to what you'd typically find in a front drum brake. And it's going to be a pain in the neck to get apart. There's a adjusting nut in here, and we don't have the tool for it, so I'm going to be chiseling it. Now this should rotate. Okay, there's that, and don't lose that. There we go. Yep. Okay, that's leaking bad. There's brake fluid all over the shoes. I'm seriously worried about spiders here.
When we have brake fluid, that's good news. Things are looking up. We have figured out what's wrong with the brakes on our truck. First, the inner seal for the bearing on the drum was blown out, and it was leaking gear oil all over. You can see how messy it is, but also our wheel cylinders were junk, and they were leaking everywhere. But we got really lucky because local parts store had brand new ones from Duralast. Old Chevy Crew Cab Dually, not real popular, so the fact that we're able to walk into a parts store and get these bad boys brand new is very good. So we're gonna put these in and keep on trucking. Our brake drums are now ready to be installed. We sent them out to Pacific Brake and Tire here in Lompoc because not only did the drums need to be turned because they weren't round, but the oil seal was stuck in there and we couldn't get it out, and the bearings needed to be repacked. So this is ready to go right back on the truck. And then all we gotta do is bleed the brakes and drive out of here someday. Okay, that drum is in there. The hardware is in there. We are making progress.
We have the brakes all reassembled, and it feels like I have an air bubble about this long in the system. So now we're gonna go bleed.
The horn works. Down.
Up,
Up.
down. Okay, that's it for this side. It's getting pure fluid now.
I'm doing a very important job. I'm setting our factory clock, which functions.
Down,
Down.
bubbles.
Well, we have brakes, but we also have some kind of weird power steering.
This thing has hydro boost, which means the power steering actually activates the power brake booster. It can get air in it, and it's more of a complicated bleeding process than if you're just doing power steering. You have to fire it up with the wheels on dead center and then just move it back and forth really slowly and keep going further and further and further until you are going all the way around. No bubbles. We've got it all bled. There's no bubbles in the power steering reservoir, and it doesn't chatter when you steer it or when you put it on the brakes. The only problem that we seem to have is it doesn't really want to take throttle, right? Oh, that's not bad.
That time it was better.
Yeah, we think maybe it's bad gas. Don't know, don't care. We're going to sleep, and tomorrow morning we will drive it for the first time. All right, first thing in the morning, we are test driving this thing, as promised.
It's in the sun. I don't know if it's gonna make it to the drag strip. It just, that's half throttle. Oh, there we go. There we go, all right.
How's the brakes?
Oh, brakes
great.
are money.
It's the best part.
I wonder if the fuel filter in that carburetor is clogged from that rubber hose that collapsed.
No, I'm thinking all we have to do is mix new gas in.
Okay. Oh, wait. Hold on.
There you go.
It's fixed.
Except for the death wobble.
Oh. Mud on the tires? Let's go with mud
Let's
on
hope.
the tires.
Yeah.
Mud on the tires, yeah.
That's 230 horsepower.
Yeah, I mean, it got better somehow by leaving. Now it accelerates great. 75, which is probably 70.
It's pretty smooth.
Yep. Maybe it needed to warm up and whistle while it worked.
Or maybe the choke needed to open. How about crack the vent window just a little bit? I thought you would know all these square body tricks.
Let's go hook a trailer to it.
stop. Okay, we're good. And we're off. How's it feel?
Oh, dude, it's like it's not even there.
Oh yeah, people love it.
People love it, see?
Everyone's waving. They love it. Hello? It's the 56 Chevy calling.
What does it want?
It's collect. Yeah, I accept the charges. It says slow down so it can catch up.
I'm gonna floor it. Ready?
Yep. I'm ready.
That was it.
Go.
That was it. I mean, it's going.
It's on the wood.
There we go.
Oh, transmission shifts well. If the trailer was back there wagging, we wouldn't even know it or feel it.
This truck's so long, it probably won't let it wag.
I feel like my 56 is in another zip code.
You just made me laugh, and now I have the hiccups.
Now we're heading to Eagle Field, which is surprisingly a track I've never been to.
I didn't know that. I thought you'd already been here. How many drag strips have you been to, Dave?
106.
Whoa.
Yeah, Brian Loans and I collect them. He's way over 200 at this point. Even if they're closed, you can mark it on your list. You just have to have been there. And so I'm going to be able to mark Eagle Field off my list, even though we're not going to be able to race. I've also kept track of how many tracks I've actually raced down, because that's the only way I can beat Loans. And it's like 52 or something like that.
Oh, you've made passes 50. That's impressive.
Something like that, yeah. 1.5 miles. Have arrived. Gates open. Wow, this is cool.
This is it, dude. It starts way back there. Yeah, this is the finish line of the track.
Okay. And this is an active airfield, so that's great.
I mean, I'm sure they can see this big red thing from the air, right? Stubby Bob's marks should be right out here somewhere. Oh, yeah.
They labeled the Stubby Bob mark for you with the water bottle. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Full on.
That's the trailer hitch.
Yep.
That is deep. If we were at a drag strip, they would have made me pay for that. And I would have just ran away, because that's expensive.
Hardcore. So this is where all 6 wheels came off the ground.
This is hitch dug in, stood straight up, motor trying to fall out of it, all 6 wheels off the ground.
Drive shaft wobbling around.
Yeah, this is, wow, I'm so glad we came here, because, what was that, 5 years ago?
We did some kick-ass wheelies.
Dude, we did.
Oh my God.
We did.
So this is Eagle Field. Like most airfields all over the country, this was a World War II deal. It was a training field. They taught kids how to fly planes. Wasn't really used as a drag strip back in the day, as many of these were, but in 2009, they started doing the retro drags here. And it's a big deal, and I've never been here before, but all my friends have. So, super cool.
This place is awesome.
Let's go.
Dinner?
Yeah, dinner. That's bright.
Yeah.
This thing has been awesome. Actually mint until last night when we got off the freeway and it died a bunch of times and we don't know what's wrong with it. And the power steering's leaking all over the floor. So we're gonna have a look at spark plugs in the carburetor and junk like that.
What if when you took the air cleaner off and put it back on, one of the hoses just didn't go back on? We have a vacuum leak.
Oh, almost 90% probability.
Then let's not do the spark plugs.
All right, go for it. Let's pull the air cleaner off.
All right.
Yeah, we need a new filter too. Oh, there you go.
Vacuum leak?
Yeah, probably not enough to make a difference, but yes, that is a vacuum leak.
All right, where did that go to?
Right there.
All right, let's put that on.
The Quadrajet has a secondary air door in the back. It's kind of what opens and gives them that kind of sound when you're flooring it. And our stick's open, which is going to give us issues. And so we're going to clean and lubricate that. I'm calling that fixed. Oh, there's no vacuum here. It's ported vacuum.
It's getting smoother.
It runs on 7, but it's good.
Seems good.
Let's go. Nope, needs a little bit more oomph. Ooh, that was close. There, boom! That was nice. Ready, Mike?
Ready, Dave. Let's go see another drag strip.
Kingdon drag strip is the goal. We're only 12 minutes away. Man, I thought we were gonna be able to go on the track at least.
You mean the airstrip? Where the planes are landing?
Right. At least in. Yeah, that's kind of the rule. You kind of got to stand on the actual, like, plot of land.
This one won't count.
This one counts.
You're not standing on the starting line.
You don't have to stand on the starting line. We made it.
Kingdon Drags.
What counts as having visited a drag strip? I'm okay with finding a sign. I would rather be on the starting line. Unfortunately, this is an active airport. We don't really have permission to be here. We'll go look around and I'll tell you what it's all about.
See,
This is starting line right there.
Now you can claim it, because we're over here.
Wait, I have to touch the tarmac. Ready?
Right.
There. We're not allowed to go further. This was a Army airfield. It was actually called the King Bury Auxiliary Airfield when it was first founded in World War II. Later on, it changed to Kingdon, obviously. Here's the good part. You know who Big Daddy Don Garlits is, right? Don Garlits, arguably one of the greatest racers of all time. People call him the greatest drag racer of all time. But he was kind of nobody here on the West Coast in 1959 when he came out and raced at Bakersfield at the March meet. So he shows up out there with his dragster, and all of the Californians, first of all, they call him Don Garbage, and they just smoke him really badly. They beat him, and he's like, I can't have this. So Garlits goes to Iski Cams down in Los Angeles, puts a supercharger on his car for the very first time. That's why the Californians were beating him. They had blowers, he didn't. And so, 2 weeks after the March meet, he comes right here, and this is where Big Daddy Don Garlits ran a supercharged Hemi for the very first time.
Oh, that is cool.
We should roadkill this.
Yeah.
I wish to death I was racing my 56 here. I guess our last chance for drag racing, it is going to be Reading Drag Strip, where we have actual permission to be on the track and run my car.
Oh, well, let's go there then.
200 miles away.
Nice.
This thing is huge.
She's beautiful.
Ask me how many drag strips I've been to.
How many drag strips have you been to, Dave?
108. That's a recurring gag, by the way. 106, 107, 108. Tomorrow will be 109.
Oh, STD. Stripper truck diesel.
I have the keys. I dropped the keys. So it's my turn?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I got you something. It's
Oh,
random.
Thanks. Didn't know you cared.
I care that much.
Feels so Christmassy.
I'm not gonna ride shotgun. I'm gonna take full advantage of the situation.
Sir, may I take you to the airport?
Drive, James. Don't talk, just drive.
Oh, this is my first time driving this thing. Okay, here we go. This is long.
Whoa, easy there, guy. Hey,
Brakes work pretty good.
Dude.
What? I'll just cruise the roundabout while you're figuring it out and having your first course.
Nope. This is life. Oh, hold on. All right. Let's save that for the dog. Oh, man. It's good to be me.
This is actually plastic. Not even scented, not even flocked. Oh, we're screwed. And we're running out of gas. Oh, no steering, no brakes. I was driving this thing along. Finnegan was asleep in the back. It's my first time at the wheel. The truck dies. I pull it over here into this really awkward, bad situation, and it's puke and power steering fluid everywhere.
Yeah, Freiburger broke it.
I'm hoping it did that just because I was steering the thing without the engine running.
Dude, I know. You give the guy the keys for 3 miles. Well, look what happens.
Anyway, we had gas with us.
I can't even have a nice meal. You know, can't even eat it while it's warm.
All right, this thing's been getting about 5.5 miles to the gallon. That picked up.
All right, we have 3 gallons. We need to hurry to a gas station.
I hope we make it.
We got this. It's the greatest truck ever!
This is it.
Reading drag strip. That's a cool sign.
That's really neat. We made it. The final drag strip on this particular journey.
It's gonna be a good day. This is the kind of air to make horsepower in.
Finnegan, ask me how many drag strips I've been to.
Freiburger, what does this make? How many strips?
109! And finally, on this trip, we're gonna get to race the 56.
There we go.
The density altitude right now, which is like altitude corrected for temperature and pressure, is below sea level. So if it will hook up on a cold track, the 56 should run quicker than ever. I'm gonna put on my race suit because it's cold.
Yeah, you are wearing flip-flops, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed.
I'm gonna unload the 56 and we're in action.
All right.
Yeah. Will it run in this freezing cold weather? When a track is cold, you can have dew problems, and also the glue isn't sticky. So we're gonna wait for that to warm up, and while we are, I have to fix some stuff on this. I wanna change spark plugs. The last guy who drove it was Gil from Hot Rod Ranch. He ran it up at a Tucson Dragway event, and it went 1170s, but he told me that it had a big misfire problem. These spark plugs are all really rich from running at high altitude at Tucson, and now we're at much lower density altitude, so there's more air, which will automatically lean it out. The next thing I'm gonna look at here is the rear shock adjustment. The last time we ran this at Famoso, it had too much separation. It was driving the tire into the ground so hard that it was like flattening the slick. And I think we found out that the optimum number of clicks on the QA1 shock is 6, so I'm just gonna verify that's where they are. 6. Okay, that's done. Man, Gil told me this thing had a problem where the ignition would just shut off, and I just experienced, it's like you're cruising along and it just goes, that's it. It's not like a misfire. It's like you turned it off, turned it back on really fast. I've gone through and checked all the connections. I can't find anything except for the main power to the MSD box is on the back of the ignition switch, which is super sketch. So we're gonna take a wire and run it all the way to the battery. I wonder if we can connect it right here.
Oh, yeah.
There are 2 red wires coming off an MSD box. One of them is switched to ignition. The other one is supposed to go straight to the battery. Mine goes to the back of the ignition switch, which is not the way you're supposed to do it. So I'm gonna fix it.
Okay. You look good. Just go fast. It's perfectly smooth. It's perfectly prepped. There's no wind. Feel good. You got this. That's a burnout right there, boy.
That didn't work.
So I think on his first attempt, he pretty much just dumped the clutch because it did a good job of smashing the tire into the ground and just spinning as it took off. He's either gonna have to leave at a lower RPM or ride the clutch out of the hole because it's really cold here.
Okay, that was a 4,000 RPM leave. Let's see what we can get. That's annoying.
So our rewiring trick did not solve the problem of the ignition completely shutting off in the middle of the run.
Bummer. It spun a little bit on that 3,000 RPM leave. You know, the track is really cold. Looks like my belt didn't fly off because my temperature is good. There it did it again. Did you hear that? No idea what that's about.
Dude, not bad. It turned off though, didn't it?
It shut off.
Damn. You're on 1144 at a $1.19, dude. It bogged. So you can go a little more in between. There's more in the launch.
But let's not overlook the fact that it just went quicker than it ever has been.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It sounded amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a time slip.
Oh, cool. Show. So that's a mile an hour quicker than or faster than it's been. Did you hear it shut off?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you fire it up and I'll jiggle this wire. Let's see what happens here. Okay. I don't see anything here. Why don't I go out there and jiggle the wires to the coil?
It was on there between the plastic and the terminal. It wasn't in the terminal.
Oh. Let's pinch those down and make them go on tighter.
Okay. You got this. More cowbell, it'll go faster.
All right, first launch was 4,000. Second launch was 3,000. We're gonna try 35.
Okay, pass number 3. We just tightened up some connections on the coil, went through all the connections on the ignition box and ignition switch. It all seems to be pretty good now. He's gonna raise the launch RPM about 500. I think it's gonna go quicker.
That is so annoying. Okay, we're gonna have to look into that ignition switched wire.
You're lined up on bald spots out there, whether
Okay.
it's the middle or the left.
I think we need to chase the ignition wire to the box now.
This thing's making some power, man. It's running more mile an hour than it ever has. Need to work on the whole shot a little bit, but more importantly, it just keeps turning off right around the top of third gear every pass. And so we've looked through all the wiring as best we can. We're now gonna isolate the ignition wiring for the ignition box from everything else in the car. We're gonna add another toggle switch in the car that'll just turn the box on and off, go make another hit and see if it shuts off again. I think you just need more laps in this thing and it's gonna do it.
It just cut.
It just cut off while he was doing the burnout. He's gonna go anyway. .1170 at 119. It didn't sound like it shut off. It did bog when he left the line though.
So I bank shift 1, 2, and it slipped the clutch. So after that, I started granny shifting it. Probably not gonna add up to my best pass. It spun the clutch on the 1, 2.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yep.
It didn't sound like it shut off this time though.
It didn't. It shut down a couple times on the way down, but it didn't do it down the track.
That's so strange.
It is so strange.
Well, I just say go again and have fun.
I will, but I think we're gonna kiss my clutch adios as I do.
It just keeps getting worse, man. We just keep getting roadkill. Hey, what if the coil's taking a crap?
Maybe. We're still having that ignition cutout problem. We've fixed every wire we can fix, so now we're changing the ignition coil. And if that doesn't work, then our only hope is the ignition box, but we're also running out of time here.
It's brand new to us, but it's chrome, and chrome always works.
You know where that came from? It came off that fire truck right there.
Fire truck's gonna save the day. Hopefully, you know, not later on the track, but like right here, right now.
Yeah. It's shutting off still.
Yeah, all right. I'll take it. 1149, real close to his PB. Still turning off, though.
Our last choice is to change the ignition box.
Why not?
I
Let's
know.
do it.
Fortunately, the guys here at Reading Drag Strip said that they could actually dial us in with a box exactly like the one we have. So I say let's give it a shot. We're down to 45 minutes. Make it happen.
Let's speed things up. You back up. That's where the tools are.
But hey, look at the bright side. The car already has run its quickest ET ever, 1144, and I just went 1149 at the same mile an hour, 119. So we're actually doing pretty good in a roadkill kind of way.
Now, we're taking the box out of the car and wire nut this other box in here and hope that solves the problem, because Dave, I think, has figured out the drag strip and the whole shot thing, because he just laid down his second best pass today.
You know what this car needs that would fix all of this? A blower. That would fix it.
Wow, what a day. Never forget, we have the coil out of a fire truck and an ignition box we borrowed from a bystander.
It hasn't popped yet.
This is gonna be great.
Oh, that was it.
We're out of gas?
No.
Let me see if the light is blinking on the box. Wow, it just keeps getting worse. Turn the ignition on.
On.
Go ahead and crank it. It's blinking. That's weird, dude.
That's got no spark. Nope. Pop the distributor cap, see if the rotor broke.
Okay, crank it. All right, hold on. It's on there. It's not loose. Rotor's fine.
You could change the pickup in the distributor.
Yeah, let's do that.
Here's the next step. I was pulling to the starting line and the thing just flat died and won't refire and has no spark. Another one of the guys here at the track brought us a distributor and we're gonna change the magnetic pickup inside the thing.
We're now attempting to change the magnetic pickup, except we can't get it out of our old distributor. So we're now changing the distributor. Once it comes out of the motor, we have to retime the motor.
So here's the other thing. That has a bronze distributor drive gear on it right there. And you can see that our new distributor has a steel one, and that's not gonna work with our solid roller camshaft. So now we have to put that gear on this distributor. Ooh, nice.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right, that's our gear going on his distributor.
Here's one thing to know when you're doing this. A factory Chevy distributor has a 0.491 inch shaft in it, and the aftermarket MSD one, and most aftermarket ones, is a 500 shaft. So that's very, very similar, but it will mess you up if you're trying to change these gears and have the wrong thing. All right, let's go.
Sweet.
Oh, dude.
Nice. Which one's number one?
One.
Okay, so here's two.
Cranking.
There's no spark, dude.
This is ridiculous. We just spent all that time changing a distributor, changing the coil, changing every bit of wiring, and it was that we had 2 ignition boxes that failed. At least that's what I think. Maybe this one's gonna die too because of something we did wrong. I don't know. Okay, it's got vacuum advance, so you have to give it about 4,000, I think. Okay. Okay, let me tighten that down. Boy, was that a thrash. 3 ignition boxes to make this happen, man.
Come on, Freiburger, you can do this. Yes! No! Good shift, come on. Woo! 1138, 120, new PB. No more boxes in this car. I'm done.
That wasn't my full-on bang shifting best. I was a little nervous after missing that one gear. All the vitals look good. Ooh, the clutch is not awesome. But you know what? It didn't misfire on the way down.
That was great.
Did we actually win?
Yeah, man.
What did it do?
1138 at $120.
Nice!
New PB.
120!
Yeah, man. Left like a boss. They'll let you go one more if you want.
Awesome. Okay, let's go.
I knew it. All right, we're gonna go one more, and then we're drinking heavily.
do it again, only better.
Nice! 121, dude, it went even faster.
That was bang shifting right there, man. The clutch slipped, but that was bang shifting. No lift. The greatest thing about this car is how the front end rises when you bang second. So fun. This car's awesome. You know what? That was a long way to go, but all of that work was worth it. That is a Roadkill win. Finnegan's super truck dually towed flawlessly all the way here, and then we finally sorted out the field car. Woo!
Dude,
What was it?
it went 121 and change. It
Really?
went 1141. You were off 300. It's no big deal.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I was bang shifting that thing.
That was the most violent shift I've ever seen out of this car.
I did not mess around, and the clutch slips between every single one of them.
Yeah, well, you can hear it flare, but
Yeah.
I think that might actually be helping you.
Maybe.
Keeps the RPMs up, you know?
That was some of the greatest bang shifting of my life. And it's all in one piece. It's got everybody else's parts all over it, but it's all in one piece. I feel that was a win, and we're quitting while we're ahead, which is unusually responsible in season 12 of Roadkill.
Yeah, we're getting more mature.
Nah.
2 more burnouts is what you're saying.
No. Out.
Oh.
Let's pack it up.
Okay.
Man, that was fun.
It was awesome. Thank you for watching Roadkill.
Whew.
This time on Roadkill, we give the ultimate middle finger to the guys who stole our mini truck.
That's right, the Maserati is back, version 2.0, and this time, it's no ripoff. To answer one of the most common questions I get from fans, no, the Maserati never came back after being stolen, so we're gonna right that wrong with a new Mazda and a Hot Rod Garage project car in the Super Street garage.
I know, this is perfect, right?
This is gonna be so good, but I think we need to start with sort of the story. There's a lot of background here. Season 4, I surprised you by buying a 1974 Mazda rotary pickup truck.
This thing's awesome. This is the greatest truck ever, isn't it?
And I'll never forget the seller who told us he got thrown out of the drag strip because it wheelied and ran 10s. Neither of which it ever did, even when we had it.
Exactly, and the reason he thought that that might be true is that that truck had an Oldsmobile 455 on an early Toronado transaxle in the bed. And so we drove the thing around. Remember, it overheated absolutely brutally?
Yeah, we made our own ducts for the roof to duct down to the radiator, which totally worked.
It did.
It stopped overheating.
Yeah.
We autocrossed it.
Come on, baby.
We drove it to the drag strip at Chandler, Arizona. We put a 180 shot of nitrous in it. Even with the 180 shot, it wouldn't go 10s. It went 1120.
Yeah.
At kind of a big mile an hour. I think it ran like 120 something.
Yeah, and it leaked out of every orifice on that pass. The transaxle, the engine, everything. All over the drag strip. And then it got stolen.
Actually, our crew guys had it on a trailer in Blythe, California, and security cam footage shows the thing getting stolen off the trailer, and it never came home.
No.
Years later, I bought a 39 Ford two-door sedan, and we road tripped the thing through New Orleans, which was a lot of fun, and ended up in Texas, where we found this, the replacement Maserati. It is another, I think, 74. Maybe it's an earlier one, I'm not sure. There's something about the cab size difference in the different model years of these things.
The last year of it had a longer cab.
Right.
Which I would have loved to have had because I never fit in the Maserati very well.
But we sat around and bench raced in that episode about what kind of engine we wanted to put in the thing. And then the answer came actually from a leftover project car from the other Motor Trend show called Hot Rod Garage. Now, this vehicle's actually kind of genius. It's a 2006 Impala SS, and those things are factory with a 5.3-liter V8 that is sort of based on an LS motor. They've got some differences, like, there's no starter motor on it, the bell housing bolt pattern is different, stuff like that.
It's mounted sideways in the front of the car.
All of that.
It's very weird.
But what it means is that you can get another one of those complete engine and transaxle packages and throw it in the trunk, which is what Tony and Lucky did on a couple of episodes of Hot Rod Garage. And the whole goal was to make the thing run in the 9s. But like the Maserati not running in the 10s, they never got it into the 9s. It went 10-16, and it was so sketchy that not even Tony Angelo would drive it down the track again.
The build is amazing. I'm thrilled about it.
It's clever.
He was not thrilled about driving it down a drag strip, and I totally understand. So why not do our own version of that and get equally scared?
The reason we're able to part out the Hot Rod Garage car, which honestly kind of hurts us, is that I heard that Motor Trend was going to scrap it. And we're like, we can't let that happen. So we figure that the Impala is the perfect donor to put an LS engine on a transaxle in the bed of this Maserati, just like the original. I think the first thing that we're gonna do is get the Impala and actually hack the engine and transaxle out of the back of it.
I can't cut that car. I'd feel bad.
We can make Lucky watch. I'm gonna cut the roof off. It'll help. Ready?
Really?
Yep. Both of us feel really bad about taking apart our buddy's project car, but its destiny is sealed.
It's going to the junkyard. There we go.
Now you can get a better look at what they've done here. I think the engine that's in the front is from a GXP. This one's actually from another Impala. This is the original engine those guys installed. The front one's been blown up, I think, 3 times. So, hacking. That
Nice.
usually works.
There we go. There we go. I won't say it looks better, but it's easier to work on.
I bet it's faster. I don't think I mentioned to you that both of these engines are turbocharged. See the intercoolers? It made 940 or 980 horsepower on a 4-wheel dyno, which means each engine is making less than 500 horsepower under boost, and they run on E85. They hopped them up a little bit. You can see it's got a Holly Sniper EFI intake manifold on it. Factory 90-millimeter throttle body, which is bigger than what the LS4 stock engine would have had.
So you're telling me that you could have made the same power with heads and a cam on this motor as you did with a turbo?
Yes. The Maserati could aim to be quicker with one motor than the Twin Impala was with 2.
Ouch. I didn't say that.
That would mean it would run 9s, because this ran 10-16.
The great thing about this is if it blows up, it's not our fault.
Right.
This was used when we got it.
Yeah, we can explain that.
Could already be broken,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, but you know what? Hot Rod Garage never blows up LS engines, so. All right, ready?
Yep.
Slaughtering all this actually gave us crystal clear vision on what to do. We decided that we were gonna cut this thing right ahead of this main hoop of the roll bar and cut through the rocker panels and then pull the bed off the Mazda and figure out how to attach this whole thing to the back of the truck. And we may change our minds later, but I think we're like trying to cut the least to begin with and save the most.
I love this plan.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Here comes the last one.
You just bisected an Impala, bro.
Last time we tried to break a car in half, we used a lift, and it was really violent and unsafe.
I hear stuff.
I hear creaking. This is much better.
Oh, starting to go now. Oh, wait. The air inlet tube is holding it together. Okay, that's loose.
Oh, those tubes.
Is that a brake line or a fuel line?
Brake.
Hey, look at it roll. It's a lot easier to take them apart.
What is that, $1,000 worth of gauges in that thing? We should take them out.
A couple grand worth of EFI sitting there, too.
Uh-huh. No, we'll save all that.
This is great because, like, the ECU plugs in. It's a few wires. The fuel system's still sitting there.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
HRG did all the work for us.
Thanks, HRG.
All right, tomorrow, I think we get this garbage out of the way. We'll strip all the good parts off of it so it doesn't go to waste. And then we got the Mazda on the lift where we will pick the bed up and figure out how to take this and slam it together.
Yeah, clearly, we're not going to waste anything.
Nah, we're gonna be done early. Yeah, you want to like go to the beach on Wednesday or something?
I was going to say, let's get a beer, but
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, that's a good idea. Mental warming led to a lot of brainstorming last night. See what I did?
Poet.
I guess we figured out how we want to do this. We're going to put it up in the air and pull the bed off and then think about it from there. A lot of measuring, then a lot of butchery. This truck's actually pretty rare. When did they make them? 72 to 74? Something like that.
3 to 5.
3 to 5, that sounds right. Somewhere in that neighborhood. But it's a Mazda pickup that came with a rotary engine, and not all of them were that way. And the body style is actually different with the rotary. It's got the little fender flares.
Yeah, Ford Courier guys are bummed because they don't have the flared bedside. I don't think they have the battery box either.
This one didn't have an engine in it when we got it. Hit it just a little so I can... There, it's out. Great.
I think this is the last one.
Yeah. We think all the fasteners are off the bed, so we're gonna put it down on the ground and list some manpower. We're gonna have producer Taylor and apprentice Mason come in. Okay, great.
Ready?
All right. And down.
Wow, this is crusty. Now the fun part. We have the bed off, obviously, and we're going to roll the back half of the Twin Pala next to our not really rotary powered truck anymore and eyeball, how do we make this fit that?
We rolled this over just to sort of eyeball everything. I've got it lined up on the center line of the axle. It looks like it fits perfectly. We're gonna measure a bunch. Our plan is gonna be to just weld that right to here after we cut this frame off. And obviously it's gonna need a lot of triangulation to work.
This is basically outside of the tube. The outside of the tube is 56.
Yeah.
And outside of this frame is like 44.
Yeah. The roll bar just barely fits in the bed, right?
Yeah, it's just inside of the bed rail by like 3/4 of an inch.
Okay. How are we gonna weld it all in and triangulate it and make it stay there? We just spent a very depressing hour of conversation and convoluting and convolating and conversating. And we're not gonna be able to attach the back half of the Twin Pala to the back half of the Maserati. How come?
Gravity.
There's no way to attach it and triangulate it and make this thing actually good. So what we're gonna end up doing is parting that whole thing out and installing the engine and transaxle on the factory cradle in this frame, which means we're gonna have to redo everything. We can reuse everything, but we'll be remounting everything.
We really thought we were just gonna be able to roll this up to the back of the truck, cut, weld, let's do burnouts.
It looked promising, but instead, I think we're about to embark on the biggest fabrication project you've ever seen on Roadkill. I'm standing here cutting out everything that doesn't need to be here. So I'm gonna remove this cross member, I'm gonna leave that one so that the frame hangs together a little bit. These brackets are gonna be in our way. Obviously the gas tank's gotta go out. I'm doing the dirty work. He's doing the unbolting organizational work.
Okay.
All this good fab work gone.
It is a nice piece.
And we have liberated the parts that we actually need. This is an LS4, it's a 5.3 aluminum head engine, and those guys left the stock cam in it, sniper intake, 90mm throttle body, headers and stuff. The transmission is actually transaxle and brand new gear star unit, but now we have to figure out how to get all of this under the Mazda.
We're revolutionaries.
Beat it.
Look at that.
Bye-bye.
Now all we gotta do is slide that under this. Car will build itself.
Yeah, see, and now that it has no camber control, they're just gonna flop everywhere.
All right.
Ready?
Yes, let's go. It's working. Oh, this is exciting.
How's that?
Let's lower it down.
It's probably fine where it is. Just tack it. We freed the whole engine and transaxle and factory Impala cradle out of the twin Impala roll cage. And now we've got it actually underneath the Mazda, and you know, it's that moment where you have hope because it looks kind of cool.
Well, this is our lose the shop moment. Here's where we're at. The truck isn't at ride height. In fact, it's pretty far above where ride height should be. Although the tires are touching the ground, there's no engine, there's no weight in the front end of this. Ideally, this truck should sit probably another 2 inches lower.
We're at a you can't get there from here moment. The front mount for the cradle needs to move up so much that we basically have to cut the entire frame off, which puts us right back to the point that we were at when we were considering put the entire back half of the twin Impala up against the back of the truck, which we can't do because we can't build a roll cage and triangulate the suspension because of a bunch of rust and the frame's too narrow. You can't get in and out of the cab. So for all of those reasons, this might not happen.
Oh, no, I just fixed it.
Hey, Mike just fixed it.
Let's just cut the mounts off and make new ones.
And on the aluminum cradle,
Yeah, these don't have to be where they're at.
now we're talking about modifying the aluminum cradle. Stay tuned.
It's a new day, which means we have new opportunities for solutions to our problems. The truck is a mini truck. The drivetrain came out of a mid-sized car. Essentially, we couldn't get a ride height that we wanted for this truck because our cradle was already sitting against the frame without the front wheels touching the ground really, without weight in it, without the thing loaded, without it even lowered. It was not gonna work. So while we stared at this, we had two options. It was either cut the cast aluminum mounts off the cradle, relocate them, weld them back together. Not exciting because it's cast aluminum, that's tricky to weld. Or we treat the mini truck like a mini truck and we step notch the frame. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna weld a piece of box tubing on top of the original frame, 360 degrees. Then we're gonna cut out this section of frame under it, plate it, box it. That gives us room to move this all the way up here, about 4.5 inches, which will level our cradle. Now, is it ideal? No. These wheels stick outside the bedsides anyway, so we really can't lower the truck too much right now. So for us, this is an excellent solution to the problem, and it allows us to move forward, because once this is mounted, then we can mount the back of the cradle, then we can start figuring out how to make it run again, and hopefully do burnouts. Step one, take this, transfer it to metal, cut the metal, put the metal here, weld it together.
Finnegan is making like the support braces in here for the frame, and I've cleaned up and removed all of the brackets and everything. Now I've got to pick the truck up, roll the engine out, clean up the inside of the frame, and then we'll be able to come back in and like weld the whole thing.
Okay, these are our frame gussets. We are about to MIG weld these to the top of the original frame section, and once this is fully welded and capped, we'll go back underneath and cut out all the material we need to remove so that we can then mount our cradle level. Victory!
We're done with our weapons grade reinforcement here, and next we had to figure out where we're going to hack so that we can take this engine cradle and move it as high as we can in the frame so we can get the truck as low as we can. And so Mike just measured it out and drew these cut lines right here. And I think we're gonna pick it up, roll the engine back out, and then I will hack that.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, this is a big moment right here. We have notched our frame, and before we box it all in and reinforce it, we're gonna roll the whole setup underneath it, lower the truck down to what I think is ride height, and get our first good look at how this is gonna fit in here. Just step notched our mini truck.
This is gonna be the first time we see the actual ride height because now that engine cradle is gonna sit up into those notches.
Okay, go back just a little bit. Oop. So this needs to go down.
Okay, I'm gonna go down.
Yep.
Ready? It's about there.
All
Go
right,
down
now
more.
I can lower the truck more.
Yep. Yes, that's what we need.
Much happier.
Yep. We got it much lower in the back with that notch. This is actually starting to be something.
This is exciting.
Yeah,
This worked.
it's way better.
Man. Make sure we have the wheels centered on the chassis where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
We could just draw a line here, weld the tube in, and then bolt it.
Right now, I think we could measure from some reference point on the frame back to the center of the bolt hole and make sure it's the same on both sides.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been some long days, but this is a moment of victory. We finally got these notches in the frame, boxed them in. We got our ride height where we want. We're gonna split. I think we're mounting the engine tomorrow.
This is gonna be cool because it's gonna be under the bed rail.
Yeah.
No one's gonna wanna steal our truck because you're not gonna see headers sticking out, unless we lose our mind and mount the turbos up here someday. Nobody will know.
In tribute to the original Maserati.
Yeah, I love that you suggested. Now I don't have to talk you into it. That's
Right.
great.
I'm gonna go home and sleep. This morning we've got the engine back out of the truck. We gotta make this whole thing square in the truck this way and even side to side.
So it's essentially a 40-inch bolt spread from front to back, and then the center line of our lower ball joint is 13 5/8. Our already marked center line of our wheel wells
Yep.
and go forward 26
6 3/8.
3/8. That's where we put our holes, and then we just had to measure the width here between those two front ones. Okay, you're on the dot.
I am on the dot.
So that's 42 5/8. It's close. It's within an eighth.
Okay.
That's good enough for who it's for.
All right.
Yeah.
You know there's no chance this is gonna be perfectly square, right?
They'll never know. Are you gonna get a ruler out on your TV? No, you're not.
No, it's gonna be great.
That's right. So we know about where our cradle needs to go. We even have marked the holes in our frame. Now this is box tubing, and if I put a hole in here and I put a nut through here and a bolt and I just start cranking on it, it's actually gonna crush this. So what we're gonna do is drill an even bigger hole than we need for our bolt, slide this tubing through it, have some of the tubing stick out on each end, and then we're gonna weld it precision around there. So now when we tighten our bolt that's going through this tube, it's trying to crush this tube, not this tube. And this tube, that's not getting crushed. It's gonna be sturdy. You know why? Because we care at Roadkill.
We cut these notches for that cradle large enough that we decided we could go back in there and triangulate this and make it all stronger.
Okay, we are close. We can now put our bolts in to guide us. Okay, now you can jack it up. There you go, keep going. Oh yeah, plenty of all thread. Okay, we're there. We can do nuts and washers on this side.
We're attaching this with all thread right now, just sort of temporarily. And we've got grade 8 bolts on order.
Yeah, now we can go down and then figure out where we want to make the rear cross member.
Pallet jack gone for the last time. Great. All right, I'm gonna go cut up the twin Pala cage and bring it in here and see if it's actually gonna work. If it does, it's gonna save us a ton of time.
Yeah.
Sawzall. This is the structure out of the back of the twin Pala. Here's my thought process. If we can take advantage of the fabrication that they've already done, then it establishes the pickup points here for that engine cradle, and also, maybe more importantly, where the struts attach. Now, if they had the struts attached in the wrong place and that's why they had really bad handling problems, then we will also have really bad handling problems. But don't tell Finnegan that right now. Ready?
Dude, if this works, this is gonna be so cool.
It's gonna save a lot of time. Oh, dude. It's gonna work. We have to shorten this bar, which we can then weld to this angle right there, and then it's gonna attach.
Well, the only problem with that is this is real close to the angle it needs to be at.
Well, even if this down bar doesn't work, all of that works.
Yeah, this gives us whatever, you know, crazy alignment they had in the back of their car,
Right.
which either works or doesn't.
So I say we slowly trim this until that matches.
I'm all about doing things slowly.
What we're gonna attempt to do is land these original bars on the top of our frame and weld it up. In the back right now, we've got a little bit of angle going on to the mount, so we need to set that down, and that'll happen if this bar moves down. So I'm gonna try and trim it right here on both sides. Nailed it.
Nice.
Wow. I got a huge gap on this side.
The whole cradle can roll forward.
Okay, so just the inside of this needs to be trimmed. We did it. This is a huge time save. We made this back of the twin Pala work, so Mike's gonna zap it on, and then we can bolt struts on.
We can bolt struts in now. I got a nut on mine, we just gotta tighten it, and we need a nut in your donut on yours.
Yeah. More. And
Down slow.
down slow. Yep. Okay.
The weight of the vehicle is now on the struts if you keep going.
Yep.
Woo!
That's on the ground.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna ride good, dude.
Great. We still need to make some supports so the back half of it is attached to the Mazda.
I'm gonna sleep way better tonight,
Me too.
knowing this is like in there, you know?
Yep.
I don't know what day it is, but yesterday went really good. We got our drivetrain pretty well locked in place, except for some critical bracing. Right now, I'm gonna make tubes that'll be fish mouth on both ends to connect this factory cross member down to the one that the guys at Hot Rod Garage made. We're gonna use a technique called fish mouthing, which is cutting and contouring the tubing so that when it meets another piece of round tubing, it fits like this. The easiest way to make that opening is with a hole saw that's the same size as the tube diameter. I don't have that, so we can't use that. But what I can do is I can set my tubing up, I can look at it right there, and I can use the tube to mark this other tube like that. Once I've marked it like that, then all I gotta do, grind the contour. And once you ground the contour, which is what I did here, these two things fit together like butter.
I made a couple of fish plates. They'll go vertically like this. Mike's welding one on right now. Basically, they're overlapping where a bunch of joints of metal come together to add some rigidity to that frame. The Impala has a factory motor mount that goes right here and attaches to the firewall or something like that. And Hot Rod Garage had made one, but it was too short for our application. So I took theirs, cut it in half, and then we got a sleeve, a piece of tubing that fits fairly nicely over their unit right there, and we're gonna use that to extend this piece. When you do that, it's a good idea to drill holes in it like that so that you can do what's called rosette welds in there. And you'll notice that I put one end here and then the other end is 90 degrees out. I don't know why, it just seems like the strong thing to do. So I will slide that over there, slide this over that, land that right there on the frame. That's ready to tack.
There we go. I'm pretty much burned out on cutting, grinding, welding, anything that involves throwing sparks at my furry body. I don't know why I haven't caught fire or spontaneously combusted. That's how much work we've done to fortify the chassis of our mini truck to accept the drivetrain of the Twin Impala. It is gusseted, front to back, side to side. It's fixed, man. It ain't falling apart. All right, let's get all this in there. I don't know why after 10 hours it feels like I did way more than I can cross off from this list. And maybe it's because somebody else already crossed some of the things off. I'm gonna cross them again. Yay us. I'll go outside and fart.
Hi there, day 6. He's finally got the bracing done so that when it's torque steering really badly, at least the engine's not flopping around.
Not gonna fall out.
Yeah. I'm gonna fiddle around with stuff out here and you're gonna do the
Shifter.
drift handle and shifter.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Ha. I win. This is not the right way to do this, but it's done. And like it never happened. Boom. And it moved it away so we can put our cable through probably right about here, gaining us a few precious inches.
You gotta be flexible and creative. Our Mazda has a braking system that apparently you can't buy any parts for. We found Duralast brake pads, but everything else is nothing. And we wanna drive this thing fast. So here was the solution. Finnegan came up with this, it was great. We're gonna put a drift handle in it. And for the time being, all we're gonna have is rear brakes. So I have to mount this thing in here, put this master cylinder on there. We're gonna plumb it with soft line the whole way, which you're not really supposed to do. All right, let me put this together. I'm doing this and the shifter because I went as far as I could on the EFI wiring, and Finnegan snipped most of it out of the other vehicle, so he knows what wires go where and I don't.
We have a shifter. Done.
Yay. Mike is working on hanging the ECU in the cab and dealing with some other little wiring, and so I'm gonna jump in and do a radiator. We had planned on putting the radiator up front, but we're gonna save a lot of time right now by hanging it back here because it already has the pipes all lined up. So I just need to get some angle iron and weld it across here, just make ourselves sort of a quick and dirty deal.
All right, this is a Holley Terminator X ECU. It's a pretty cool unit. This is our ignition system because we are coil on plug. This is our transmission controller. This is also our electronic fuel injection. Now, a couple things you need to know when you install one of these. Obviously, you don't want it wet. You don't want it to get really, really hot. You don't want to just lay it on the floor underneath the front seat either. So I bent this panel up out of some random aluminum I found laying around. And we're gonna bolt it right here to the rear cab wall. It will fit behind the seat. The wires will route nicely right up there. Here's J1A. One goes here. This is power and ground, which goes directly to the battery. Not the starter, not the alternator, nowhere else. Directly to the battery.
We've resorted to butchery as if that isn't what we've been doing all along. I just scabbed in a couple of pieces of angle iron right here. And if you think that's cheesy, wait for the next step.
You know, a ratchet strap is really just a glorified zip tie. Oh man, this is gonna be good.
2 straps. That's how you know you care.
Yeah.
Day 7, and if you thought my radiator installation was butchery, wait till you see what happens today as we take a flamethrower to even our standards.
Our goal was just to do a burnout, and there's a lot of things we could do better, but that doesn't equal burnout. So ratchet straps everything now. Whatever it takes to get it out that door and spin the tires.
That's pretty much what's gonna happen. I am going to somehow install the old fuel system, which, what is that, like a 3-gallon cell, maybe 5?
That's 3.
3? It's only gonna get us through a burnout. I think you do need to put the weights on the front crossmember because we know from the original Maserati that it won't even steer inside the shop without weight on the nose. It's pushing. Ah! Whoa!
So yeah, I'll start on the weights, and you do the fuel system. Then that just leaves the gas pedal and the battery. This is the key to having steering in your rear-engined mini truck. What I'm gonna do is take the bar that these would go on normally, sink it through the front crossmember where normally there'd be a motor, weld it in place, and stack, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these, and cross my fingers, that's the exact right amount of weight to allow us to steer and stop. Someday we'll have front brakes, not today. Let's see, 95, 140, 190. Done. I wonder if it lowered the truck.
That's still gonna need a little something, something. Ratchet strap. Security. You ready for the magic?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna zip tie this over here.
What I like about this is not only is it SFI approved, but it really takes the focus off the ratchet straps and puts it on the zip ties where it belongs.
Wow, that's butch. Meanwhile, I'm running brakes.
Look how sturdy it is, though. I'm shaking the whole car.
Yeah.
Calling it good. Enough for who it's for.
Do not do this at home. We're making progress. Finnegan just spent a while making sure that our tune-up was okay on the Holly computer. The last element of the EFI that I need to deal with is the fly-by-wire pedal. There's no cable from the throttle pedal on this deal. It actually just is controlled from the ECU, and back there, the throttle will open and close based on this. It's interesting that they've got this doubled up from the Twin Pala when they had 2 engines in it, so it was actually reading 2 different sensors to open 2 different throttles. That's kind of a handy gas pedal.
Dave's putting the gas pedal in, I'm putting the coolant in. Getting close.
Okay, that's probably really uncomfortable, but it's in. Bolted it to the stock location. All right, season 13, we finally learned that vehicles need gasoline to run.
Is this really gonna happen? I've never heard it run. We may have gone through all this trouble only to find out, you know, the motor's junk or the trans doesn't shift.
Hey.
Which would be really funny.
Who are you accusing of what? We're gonna try and fire it up.
Yes. Okay, leave the ignition on for me.
Ignition's still on. Finnegan's gonna check the computer and see if we can see what's going on.
USB link so we can see it live. Try it again.
Oh.
Does it show fuel pressure?
It's telling me we don't have fuel pressure.
Well, yeah, the pump's not running.
Oh, wait. It helps when you ground it.
Oh, I thought you did.
I thought I did too. I think we're cool. Yep. Go for it.
All right, back on and cranking.
That wants to run.
It won. Up. Something didn't like it.
Right to the wood, Dulcich.
Of course.
Okay, fire it up again. Gotta let it warm up.
We made it run. This thing was on an E85 tune-up, and E85 requires a lot more fuel than gas, so...
We took like 50% of the fuel out of the base fuel map.
Bingo, and it runs way better.
Yeah.
We think it's actually good enough to drive at this point. We're gonna bleed the brakes, I think tomorrow.
Burnouts.
Drink. Drink. Okay,
Okay.
up. Now open it,
It's opened.
and down, and
Ooh,
holding,
There we go. Closed.
and up.
Open.
Hey, yesterday I promised everybody that it would run late today.
You did?
Yeah,
Oh, high five.
yeah.
Nice.
First time ever.
All right.
Lived up.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily proud, but we're done.
When you say it out loud, I mean, you're right, yeah.
We'll make it way better next time. Ready to go do burnouts?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do burnouts.
No, we're gonna check the brakes first.
Oh yeah, let's do that. All right, just roll a little. Oh, that works.
Oh, we got brakes.
Yeah, that's Finnegan style right there. Yep.
Oh,
Ooh, spunky.
let's see if it steers. Oh, it steers.
It's not skidding around. All right, I'm gonna chalk the front wheels and we'll try a burnout. So far, the brake works, steering works, and it seems really peppy in just the tiny bit that we hit it. It's gonna push it.
I think it just ran it over.
Are you willing to do just to mash it and go?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know if
let's
it'll
do
do
that.
anything,
Wheel chocks didn't work. We're just gonna mash it. I can't tell what happened there. It didn't squat.
but yeah, it actually, it hooks really well.
Right.
All right. Try it again.
Yep.
Yeah, it just hooked. It didn't want to do a burnout.
If it would run right, it would be fast. This thing seems to just want a boogie. We're matting it, and it's barely hazing the tires. It's mostly just accelerating. It makes no power. While we feel vindicated that it runs and drives and hooks up and is ready for the next episode where we turbo it and put a bed and everything, we still need a burnout.
We need a burnout.
I've got water on the rear end, and I'm gonna throw a wheel block in here. I've already got one on the other side. We're gonna see if we can improve the tire smoke situation. I think you're good.
Okay.
Well, that's a little tire smoke. Still a lot of traction. This thing's gonna run 10s no problem.
It's got way too much traction.
It does. This thing hooks. Now we got desperation going on. We have the Maserati 2.0, we have a yank strap, we have camera Alex's Jeep XJ. Now it should smoke the tires.
Let's try this again.
Yeah, we got tire smoke, baby.
That might bring the fire department.
Maserati 2.0. We had to go to great lengths to smoke the tires. That was great. Rubber on the roof, on the ground, not on the tires, all over the engine.
We made slicks.
Yes,
This is great.
it really is good.
Wow. Who knew? We just needed a Jeep in our lives. I might be a Jeep guy now. We should leave.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Let's disconnect this and get out of here. Last time on Roadkill, you asked for it, you got it. Finally, it is a showdown between Blasphemy and my F-Rod in an 8-second quarter-mile showdown.
And we made 1,100 horsepower in this car and road tripped it nearly 800 miles.
Big win.
Still runs.
Blasphemy is back. Our 426 based Hemi and a 55 Chevy has been with us since season 1 of Roadkill. Can you even believe that?
Has it been that long?
It has been that long, and I haven't seen it in, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, and a whole bunch of stuff has changed. Here's our plan. We're gonna start here at Wild Horse Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona, make some passes, I guess tune on it, figure out what's gone wrong. And then we're gonna road trip the thing to San Diego, California, right along the border. We have to change the supercharger at a dyno shop, tune it up to make it quicker, then road trip it to Famosa Drag Strip, which is outside of Bakersfield, California, where my own Model A called the F-Rod will be sitting there. And my Model A has gone 8.501 in the quarter mile.
This car's never been that fast. It ran a bunch of 60s in Vegas, but since then it's pretty much been broken. And currently that supercharger's wore out, which is why I ordered a blower and sent it ahead of us, hoping that we can pick up power. The car got heavier over the last couple of years because I got tired of, say, the fiberglass trunk lid blowing off.
I remember that.
So it has a steel trunk lid on it now, which is way heavier than I thought it would be. So I got rid of 19 pounds of battery cable by moving the battery up front.
Really?
Yeah. And that battery was over here, but then I was having oil pressure issues with it. Every time I pulled the parachute, I'd lose all the oil pressure. So everything is different. The motor plates, the oiling system, the fuel system, the electrical system. The blower, though, is the same blower from 2019, and I'm pretty sure it's wore out.
Was it on the 85 when you won Drag Week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But these headers are different.
These are slightly bigger.
When was the last time this road tripped successfully?
2019.
Okay.
Let's talk history of Blasphemy. This is my favorite Roadkill project car of all time, and it all began with a $2,300 body of a 55 Chevy Bel Air that we bought out of a backyard in Hemet, California. And we hauled it all the way to Oregon to Jim Meyer Racing, slid one of his cool gasser chassis under it. Then we cut the wheel wells, put some cool wheels and tires on it. But the key to this whole car is Freiburger's fault. It was his idea to put a Chrysler 426 Hemi under the hood. So that's what we did. We thought, why not? Hemi and a Chevy, you're either gonna love it or hate it. So in the beginning, all I wanted was a cool street car, kind of like what the guys in the movie 2-Lane Blacktop drove. I loved the look of that car, which is why this car is flat black. And in the beginning, I didn't really care about how fast it went. I just wanted to look cool. And then somewhere along the line, I lost my mind and just spent every waking moment and most of my money making it faster and faster, until finally, in 2019, Tony Angelo and I won Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week event, going as quick as 161 miles an hour in this thing. The problem is it's really unreliable, and it hasn't gone that fast since. Let's go test it. Let's go find out where we're at in terms of track performance, and then we'll figure out a way to make it more powerful and faster, hopefully before we get to Bakersfield and I have to line up with the F-Rod.
I was doing the nut and bolt check underneath the car, and I found a couple things that needed to be snugged. It wasn't that bad. However, I've spotted a really bad thing about tire clearance. Mike had the rear end narrowed, and unfortunately with these different wheels, they're too far inboard and they're hitting the inner wheel well.
So before this car went on the chassis dyno last week, I switched wheels, and I thought, oh, they clear the inner fenders just fine. They're not. They hit the inner fender bad.
Well, that was painful to watch, but it's probably gonna save disaster.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with it.
All right, way better clearance. It's still gonna tag it a little bit, but it's not gonna cut the tire. We've gotten through our safety checks and we're ready to go. Put it on track for the first time. You gonna go all out or you gonna take it easy first time down?
Nah, you know me, I'm just gonna go.
Okay, yeah, he'll lift when it gets ugly.
Oh, this is exciting. I have not driven down any drag strip in this car in over a year.
for the first pass in Blasphemy in a long time. A ton of stuff has changed on the car. Different throttle body, different injectors, coil on plug ignition, dry sump, different clutch, different transmission, different rear tires. See what happens.
That was fun.
Tires are brand new, so we gave them a little bit of extra heat. It's typically a good process for a fresh out-of-the-box tire.
All right, getting ready to roll into the beams. We're pre-staged. Now we're staged. Okay, a lot of cowbell. It did not hook.
You can see the tire bounced pretty good.
Yeah, that's the same two-step I've always used, so I could turn the two-step down if I had the laptop. Wow, it hasn't spun like that in a long time.
Thinking it through, the 6-speed has a much lower first gear than your G-Force did. He's got the computer out. We're looking at the data, just what happened to make sure that the two-step rev limiter was set where it needed to be.
There we go. All right, burnout number 2. We've lowered the rev limiter. Let's try this again. No, just smoke the tires again.
So it smashes, but the whole rear end of the car is squatting. It's not separating. That is fairly low tire pressure. Here's what's going on. You saw our first 2 hits, the thing spun the tires real bad. The first time it actually hopped the tire off the ground. Looking at the data, we're realizing that the camshaft was advanced a lot versus the last time you ran this thing. And he just told me that it's making more boost down low than it did on the dyno, which is unusual. So it's making a lot more power, so he's having trouble hooking it up with his old combo. Right now I'm checking tire pressure, which is below 12. Mike contacted Pete Harrell, his engine guy and tuner, and sent him the file out of the computer, the tune-up on the car, and he went ahead and pulled some ignition timing down low to take some power out of the car so that it would launch. Sun's going down, we're about to run out of track time. The folks at Wild Horse and Bradford Driving School have been super cool to us, and they gave us some more time. So it's a nice, cool evening now after everything that we changed, which includes the tune-up, the shock settings, the tire pressure, and new spark plugs. So let's give this a shot.
Okay, here we go. Pre-staged, staged.
Well, finally got down track. That was a 10:09 at 146 miles an hour. The mile an hour tells you that the car should be way faster. That's a very slow ET for the mile an hour. It didn't fully hook, and he hit the rev limiter in first, and he obviously was granny shifting the thing, but we're headed the right direction. I think he'll probably come back and give it another shot, kind of as is. 10:09, 146.
Okay.
146 is okay.
I short shifted 1 gear, hit the rev limiter, another one. I was a mess.
Yeah.
Now we're getting somewhere. I know it wasn't fast and it really wasn't pretty, but I learned a lot. The problem with using the clutch when you shift is every time you use the clutch, it restarts the launch process over and pulls ignition timing out of it about 9 degrees. So you clutch, it pulls 9 degrees, then the motor's trying to accelerate with only like 17 degrees of timing in it. It's not accelerating as hard as it could. So for this pass, I've lowered the launch RPM another 200, and then we just pulled another ½ degree of timing out of it for the first second of the run. Hopefully that makes it stick. Hopefully I can remember not to use the clutch and not granny shift, hit my shift points, and go much faster down this drag strip.
Ah! He's using the clutch.
That was better, but it went left. I guarantee the 60-foot was better on that one.
Well, that was cool and violent. It left pretty hard, but man, this thing goes left like mad. Unfortunately, it seems to me like he was stepping on the clutch again. When he does that, it reactivates the ignition retard for the launch. So I think he just needs to figure out how to shift it without the clutch.
Curious what the 60-foot was, because it was way happier.
Oh yeah, it was way better, although you went hard left.
Yeah.
That's like a ladder bar adjustment.
Yeah.
Or a real tire pressure problem or a brake dragging.
We have a little bit of time left. I'd like to make one more pass, at least down the drag strip, to find out, you know, where we're at in terms of this car's performance.
Well, that was the best run of the night, 9.805 at 148.79, but the 60-foot was 181, so.
Yeah, I don't know why it spun so bad that time.
It was really bad.
And I suck at driving right now, so.
Drive to the hotel, as is, slicks, open headers?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's party. It's road trip day. We're fully tested and ready to go across the entire desert between here and Santee, California, which is like 300 miles, with nothing really in between. We need to take the slicks off and bolt the Coker tires that we had on here.
Let's hope it doesn't rain, it won't.
Yeah, and then we're going to switch the fuel lines in here because under this trunk floor are two different fuel cells. We're gonna switch the tune in the ECU. We're gonna take the little blower pulley off and put a bigger one on just to slow the blower down, and then put the side pipes on so we go less def, and then go.
Cruising through Gila Bend, Arizona, and all of a sudden I realized this is where we were for the very first episode of Roadkill ever. Last night we stayed in a hotel that I swear looked like they had spray painted over a triple homicide. It was so bad. And we paid $45 for the privilege of staying there. Yeah, the room was over there in that corner behind that dumpster. All right, that's a bad memory, but wow, 12 years, our first episode.
Yeah.
All right, good time. Let's go.
Let's go. I think we're close to the highway.
We're probably gonna need to fix that.
Yeah, would you throw that spring on there for me?
Yeah, we got a problem with the throttle sticking, so I'm gonna go put another throttle return spring on this pooch. Maybe it's fixed.
It's gotta be better than it was.
How come?
I don't know. These are new issues.
One block later, next problem, the throttle is sticking, or at least the thing's idling way too fast now. We got two springs on here. Show them your port plug trick.
This throttle body is a prototype made by a guy named Phil Rohr. Incredible machinist. And one of the things he did was to improve drivability was he machined these plugs that are O-ringed that should go in here and cap off one hole so that you don't have these giant throttle blades when you're going down the road.
When you have throttle valve area that's a whole bunch, you move the throttle just a little, and there's a lot of air going, and so it's like just barely tip into it, and it goes, ah! So that helps slow that down.
Well, that's not enough spring to do it.
This is not a car where you want the throttle to be stuck.
I think part of what's happening is the blower and the throttle body are all really hot, and the butterflies are sticking in the bore because it doesn't return. And so what I'm gonna do now is increase the spring rate by adding another bracket, drilling some holes, putting the springs at a little bit better angle, stretching them out even further.
Ignition. Not returning all the way.
I brought my old throttle body, which is a smaller one. That makes less power than this one makes, but the drivability is, you know, at least today, better. So we're gonna take this off right now and go to the old school Hilborn cast throttle body that I used to have.
Trying to get it started now with the new old throttle body.
Hey, us. Let's go driving.
We've now stayed here longer than we stayed in that hotel room 12 years ago. My turn to drive.
If you double clutch, it won't clank when it goes into the first 4 gears. Okay. But you don't have to. Yeah, you're going 75 miles an hour at 1900 RPM.
At 7% throttle and almost 14 to 1 AFR.
Now where the blowers is really hot now.
Now it's 200. Are the fans and water pump plugged in?
I don't recall unplugging them.
I don't either. It's still going up, 203, 204.
I lowered the timing. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, it might not like it. Yep, it's cooling down. So it didn't like the timing.
What day is today?
I have no idea.
Oh, it's Wednesday.
That's right.
Yeah, we're doing good. Yesterday went really well. What did you think?
Oh, I got to cruise the thing. This car is actually way better than you think it is on the highway. I was kind of blown away because I haven't ridden in it or driven it since we drove it all the way across the country in like season 3. That's 10 years ago.
It's been 10 years.
It's been 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You did great.
Yeah.
Oh, we learned a lot.
Yeah.
We learned that it wants to overheat if you lean it out on the highway.
That was interesting.
I think we both believe this supercharger is wore out. Well, I had one delivered to my friend Andy Rawls' shop, like minutes away from here. And Andy is really good friends with the dyno shop. So we're gonna go to Andy's shop, pick up a new blower for this. Then we're gonna go to the dyno shop, test it in its current configuration, then put a new blower on it and see, does it make more boost? Does it make less heat? Does it make more power?
This will be pretty cool because I don't think we've ever done a hub dyno on Roadkill.
No, I've only ever seen one once.
And now we're at Rawls Precision Machine in Santee, California. The proprietor is a good friend of mine, Andy Rawls. He's the guy that built my drag boat. He does military stuff. He does stuff for the marine industry. And this is where we shipped our new blower. But the guys at the blower shop mailed us one that's wildly different than the one that's on the car. Externally, it looks the same, but there's parts and pieces here for actually tuning where the boost is going, how much of it's gonna come out, and how quickly it's gonna come out, which is pretty sweet. This should make more boost, and we should make more power.
Yeah, we won't know until we get to the dyno shop, though.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it.
1 mile on slicks in the rain. We can do it.
We can do it.
Is this it?
We drove 1 entire mile without crashing the car in the rain on our slick tires, and now we are at Darden Tuned, a hub dyno shop right here in Santee, California. I'm excited because I have very little experience with a hub dyno.
Same.
And we have lots of things we can test. Not a lot of time to do it, but at the very least, we'll find out today, is that blower worn out? And so now with the front clip off, we put it in race mode. So the air filter comes off, we change to a smaller blower pulley, we take the side pipes off, put the bullhorns back on, then go to the back of the car and switch fuel pumps and tanks and make a hit. That's not happening. It's definitely not happening.
Mike is consulting with Darden, who's our dyno operator today. I'm changing spark plugs. And there's the plug that we've been driving on, and it might be just a little bit fluffy.
I just showed Darden our tune and the data logs from the track the other day to let him know, hey, this thing is happy, it will make a pull. All right, tune is in. Okay, street pulley. This will be the same one that it ran on Pete's dyno.
Okay.
So we maybe could compare.
Somewhat. We're done in the engine compartment here, and Noah and Adam did the exhaust for us, so Mike's gonna go back and swap fuel lines, and then I think we're good to go. On our show, we've only ever used like engine dynos or regular roller dynos. I've seen these, but explain how it works.
I've been doing a lot of high horsepower cars, and this takes all the insecurities of running, having to worry about slip or having to worry about car flying off the dyno or melting a strap. Plus, you also have roller noise, so you don't have to worry about roller noise on this as well.
And it's just gonna bolt to the hub and go.
So we take the tires off, connect straight to the hubs. So if he ever tries to lift, this will hold it down and you'll be good to go.
Is it gonna wheelie?
We hope so.
You haven't rebuilt this engine in a couple weeks. Let's do this.
I was gonna say I was excited for this because I've never compared a hub dyno versus a roller dyno.
So what was the number that it made on Pete Harrell's chassis dyno?
I believe 850.
All right, let's find out. That's a lot of smoke.
940.
I'm not entirely surprised. 6,400 RPM. We're gonna go one more because
7,000 RPM.
7,000. Yeah. It sounds really happy.
It does. On the second pull, we ran it all the way to 7,000 RPM. It made 972 horsepower at the axle and 862 pound-feet of torque. More importantly, Finnegan and Darden are going over the data right now and just making sure that the air-fuel ratio looks good, that there's no anomalies in even like oil pressure and things like that. The boost is where they expect it to be. It's making about 13 pounds.
So the reason we're spending all of this time tuning an engine with a supercharger we know we're going to take off is because we want to make sure the tune is right, the engine is happy, so that we just take the blower off, put a new one on, make a couple more pounds of boost, hopefully, with the same tune, and see if we gain power. Okay, we are headed in the right direction.
Our tuning gap in the beginning was this much because we were so rich, and as we started getting leaner, our tuning got smaller and smaller to the point where like the motor tells you, hey, I want this AFR and I want this type of timing, and there's nothing else you can do to make more power except change boost pressure. So now we're gonna change the blower. We're gonna load up a richer tune just to see how the motor acts first, then we'll lean it back out and see what the motor makes and how it responds to it.
Ready? Up and over. Let's talk tech. These are both Roots-style 871 superchargers from the blower shop. One of the innovations on both of these is the ports in the side of them where the electronic fuel injectors go. Now, you really have to have fuel going through one of these superchargers to keep it cool and sealed. There are some differences between the two blowers, though, so this isn't going to be a direct A/B test of just a worn-out blower versus a nice and fresh one. First of all, look how this has got a center divider in the top right here, and this one does not. It's also been machined for this special insert that goes right here and restrict the opening while also sealing the rotor a little bit more over here. You tend to get the boost rise earlier in the RPM band. There's also a difference in the discharge side of the supercharger. You can see how this actually has a longer opening and there is a bar down the middle of it. This doesn't have that bar, and the distance from here to here on the opening is actually less. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's less flow because it's a smaller hole. But in fact, what this is doing is keeping the air sealed to the rotors for longer. Remember, as the rotors turn, they press the air to the outside of the case. And right here, as soon as the rotor clears the case, it's going to discharge the air into the engine. In this case, it's hanging on to more air for longer before it discharges, and so that can be a benefit. Also, Blower Shop has found that this version helps with cylinder-to-cylinder distribution, so that's kind of the difference between the two blowers. The throttle doesn't open all the way.
Oh, I know. That bolt fell out.
That bolt fell out?
That bolt fell out last year at Drag Week, and I think this got put in. And then we never had wide open throttle after that.
The scientific method is now completely out the window. Remember I told you we were gonna try and do an A/B test between the old supercharger and the new one? And then I showed you some little differences between the old one and the new one. Well, now there's way more. In addition to us adding this little spacer back here, we swung our throttle body in here and noticed that that spacer completely blocks off the airflow from this throttle body. While doing that, I also noticed that this throttle body doesn't even begin to go to wide open throttle because there is a little bolt on it that those guys changed at Drag Week last year that prevented that from happening. So once we realized that, we started looking at this gasket that has been between the throttle body and the supercharger the entire time. Then Darden says, I've seen turbocharged cars kill 20 PSI with a screen like that. And so we decided that we're not gonna run that screen anymore. But then, remember the problem with this blocking the throttle body? We realized that the blower shop had already given us a solution to that with this spacer. So now that spacer is gonna go there, this is gonna go there. So now we've changed the style of the discharge, the style of the inlet, the screen, the spacer, and having wide open throttle. So there's no more scientific method, but now we're gonna make a lot of horsepower, which is all we really care about, let's be honest.
Old throttle body, but with new wide open throttle.
Now, with 25% more throttle opening.
Blower swap is done. Now we're gonna fire it up, set the idle, and then get out of the way because this thing is gonna make some beans.
There we go, boys.
It's finally working.
That's some steam.
I got bad news for you, Mr. Burger.
So yeah, she's happy.
This car has never made that much power. We're gonna make one more hero pull. We're gonna put a little more timing in it. We're gonna take some fuel away and we're gonna rev the engine another 300 RPM because the last pull we stopped at about 6,900. We're now gonna rev it to 72. Most of the people standing around here think it's gonna make somewhere about 1140, 1150. Yeah, it will, and I'll be totally happy with that.
Yeah, baby.
That is beef.
We came in here with a car that made about 970 horsepower at the hub and about 850 foot-pounds of torque, and we are leaving with a car that makes 1,136 horsepower and 930 foot-pounds of torque. Car rips. We now have to put it back into street mode and then drive to Bakersfield, which is like 250 or 60 miles away.
That's a tomorrow story.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Not worried at all.
Right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
Beers?
Yes.
Yes.
We can do that.
Let's go celebrate.
See ya.
This car rules. Well, it's day 4 of our adventure. Day 3 was incredible. However, changing the blower and the way the throttle body mounts, well, it necessitated a bigger hole in the hood and a taller hood scoop. So we came back to Andy Rawls' shop. Andy is a killer fabricator and designer and came up with the idea for this. Moment of truth. Oh, that looks evil.
Yeah.
All right.
Get out of my shop.
Yeah. Never return.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot.
We have driven 68 miles since we left Andy Rawls' shop, and now we're broke-ish. I mean, nothing's falling out, but the clutch doesn't want to release, and so that makes it hard to sit in bumper-to-bumper SoCal traffic when the clutch doesn't want to release.
And I think the transmission needs to come out, and we need to remove a shim from behind the throwout bearing. Before we bother with all that rigmarole of tearing the transmission out and assuming it's the throwout bearing shim, we're gonna go ahead and bleed the clutch to see if it's just air in the system. Up, down and hold.
So it's either got no air gap or it wasn't moving enough before.
Well, if I do this, is there a gap?
Oh, you know what? I've got my little camera I could stick in there and see.
Yep.
All right. Definitely an issue with the throwout bearing. So what we're gonna do is take this $30 Bluetooth wireless camera, shove it up through a tiny hole in the side of the transmission to see when it's released, is there a gap? We just bleed it and hit the road, and I think we'll be fine. If there is no gap, we're pulling the trans out and then taking a shim out from behind the bearing to give us a gap. Hey, David,
Yep.
when I tell you, go ahead and step on it.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Down and hold.
Let off.
Off.
I think it's up against it, and we need to pull a shim. Well, we don't know exactly what's going on. Maybe it's a combination of get the air out and adjust the pedal stop, and we'll be cool. We're gonna put it back down on the ground, fire it up, and take it around the block and see if it works better.
Coming down. Whoa!
Oh my God.
That was not good.
Tell me that didn't go through the oil pan.
It did not, but it is stuck between the axle and the tie rod. The jack didn't roll. Boy, that's dumb. Sorry about that.
It happens. Whew, it's gonna be a long night.
Can you pull the jack out? Fixed. That's not right.
Yeah, my foot's in the gas. It's still trying to move.
If you crank it right now, what happens? Yeah, it's moving the car. What we just found is that it's still dragging. When you have your foot all the way on the clutch, you put it in gear, it grinds. You put your foot on the clutch and crank it without starting it, and it pulls the car, so the clutch isn't fully disengaging. So the next thing he's gonna do is put a shorter bolt on the clutch stop so that the pedal has more travel to see if traveling the bearing more will disengage the clutch. However, the balance you need to play is that if you stroke the bearing too far, then it comes apart, the O-ring seal on the hydraulic bearing pops out, fluid drops everywhere, and it's game over. And even if we take it apart, then we might not be able to get the bearing back together. So that's where we're at. Listen to hear if it grinds in gear.
Much better.
That's kind of normal.
Yeah, I think we're good now.
That seems normal for a straight cut trans to me.
I don't think we have to take the trans out.
We don't think we have to take the trans out, or at least we're gonna make that decision another 5 or 10 miles down the road. Great. Oh, it's not squeaking anymore.
Yeah, it's happier. I think it's good.
We made it. So we're rolling into some like shishi little tiny hotel, like, what is it, Motel 6, something like that? And there's no parking lot there. And so we're gonna have to leave this on the street. And if it's still there in the morning, then you will see us at Famosa Raceway for the ultimate showdown versus my Model A. It's gonna be great.
Nobody told me there'd be no parking.
I'm advising you now.
I like this car again because it's really, really powerful.
It's been great. On the streets of Bakersfield, let's go! We made it. Blasphemy drove all the way from Chandler, Arizona to here, Famosa Drag Strip north of Bakersfield, California. Well, normally we rent the track, but this time we were invited to Hot Rod Garage Day. Hot Rod Garage is another show on the Motor Trend Network, and once a year, they rent the track themselves and invite friends and family. So you're gonna see like 40 cars here, some of which are the Hot Rod Garage project vehicles. And they are gonna have a pause in the program so Finnegan and I can run side by side. So now we're here ready for the setup of Blasphemy versus my fraud, my 31 Model A Coupe. So this is gonna be good. We're prepping Finnegan's car right now. My car doesn't need a whole lot. My buddy Sam is here who built the whole chassis on the thing. He's sort of handling the wrenching on the side. I'm gonna help Finnegan move over from street mode to race mode.
On the first day of this trip, we went to a drag strip and properly broke in a brand new set of Mickey Thompsons, but we also broke them. The inside of both tires were rubbing the inner fenders of the car, which is probably what caused it to go left every time I let the clutch out. And so we're switching tires. I now have a fresh set to put on, and fresh tires need to be broken. They're never as quick ET-wise as, you know, ones that have been broke in. And the fresh set is also smaller. They are not as wide as the ones that were on the car, so I'll have a little less traction.
So for this first run, I'm just gonna let the clutch out and just cross my fingers it goes straight. If it goes straight, I'm happy. Then we'll work on the rest of it after. Woo-hoo-hoo! That was my first burnout across the starting line ever. Oh, that was so fun.
Finnegan's here for his very first hit. He's got the larger blower pulley on it, not the 1100 horsepower tune, but probably like the 1050 horsepower tune.
Okay, that was bad. Everything was going really well until I missed fourth gear.
Finnegan made his first pass, and it was a non-ET because it looked like the driver's door flew open. So that's going to be a big pucker. That was interesting. You missed fourth, and then someone said, no, his door flew open, he lifted. Which one happened?
Oh, both.
Both.
Both things happened. Yeah, I've never missed fourth. That was a new adventure for me. It was going so well, I was like, yeah! Oh! No.
So you cut an 065 light, not bad. 135, 60-foot time. So you want to go back and make another hit before they break for lunch?
I can't guarantee I'll get it right, but yeah, I want to go.
Cool, let's go. At least we don't have to pack a chute. That was better, 889 at 153 miles an hour. Now remember, this car's best ever is 852. His 60-foot was 1345. So pretty good. Now we're gonna take a quick break, probably fiddle with the car a little bit more. I'm guessing he's gonna want to put a smaller pulley on it. And we'll find out if he can do quicker than that.
889, 153.
Oh, and the little pulley. Oh, dude. We're gonna have a good race.
This is my 31 Ford Model A that's going to be running against Finnegan. You've never seen this car on Roadkill. It was built entirely on Roadkill Garage by my buddy Sam, who you'll see in the background, like helping me out with this thing, and also by Steve Dulcich and myself, and the engine by my buddy James Bostic. It's a 31 Ford Model A. It weighs 2,450 pounds. The engine is a 572 big block Chevy. It's actually the same heads, crank rods block that I used at Bonneville to run my fastest time ever. This thing has been 261 miles an hour at Bonneville. It makes 950 horsepower. It's got a Gearstar Power Glide, Mosier 9-inch, 410 gears, 31-inch rear slick from Mickey Thompson. So when you put that much power with this much lightness, you get a best ever ET right here at Famosa of 8.501 seconds at 151 miles an hour. Maybe it went 155 on that one. Here's what makes this race actually personal for me. Finnegan has supercharger, EFI, like strain gauge on the shifter, I think, all sorts of rocket science. I went exactly the opposite direction. This has no power adder. It's carbureted. It doesn't even have an electric fuel pump. It's a mechanical fuel pump. So even though they're both retro-looking cars, this is very much like new technology with boost versus old technology, all motor. The time has finally come.
Yes.
Make it 3 yards, my friend, and we'll have ourselves an automobile race. Boom. Head to head, you've been waiting for it. Blasphemy versus the F-Rod.
Good luck.
I need it.
Special guest host Steve Dulcich here for the battle of the Roadkill host. Who's gonna come out on top? I'm gonna be watching the action along with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are off to the races. This is gonna be epic. 2 8-second Roadkill cars lighting it up for the honor of the fastest car on Roadkill.
Here we go.
.873 at 150 miles an hour. Finnegan, however, had some kind of problem off the starting line.
All right, well, that didn't work. It just blew the tires off at the starting line. I feel like my brakes are dragging.
Something went wrong. Well, I don't know what just happened, but it wasn't good for Mike.
A couple of things were wrong with it when you took off.
I kept letting on and off the clutch, and the car didn't really want to move. And I went to the starting line. When it's time to go, I let the clutch out, and it just barbecued the tires. It didn't go anywhere.
Huh. My car was a turd too, 872 at 150, and I red lit, so you won.
872 is not a turd.
Just to give you the numbers here, Mike cut an 033 light, I red lit by 025. 2060 foot, 123. Your 8th mile time, I mean, you were just coasting at that point. So,
Want to do it again?
what are we gonna do? How are you gonna fix your car?
I'm gonna take some compression out of the back shocks.
And I just found out I can't let go of the button as soon as I see the last amber. The trans brake didn't engage the first time. Oh, that was a bummer.
Freiburger took it, 871 to an 877. We're talking just 0.06 of a second between the two cars. That is that close, but close doesn't count.
Are you okay?
Yeah, you?
My trans brake didn't work.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you beat me down here, because I was like, where is he? And then I saw you there.
No, you were ahead of me the whole way because I messed up. I'm sure I didn't even get a time. Okay, honestly, I'm walking away disappointed because my car is slow and I feel like I never got a good pass on that last one. My trans brake button, you gotta really get your finger down in the hole, and I didn't. So I rolled deep, and then by the time I was back on the button, it was at the second amber, and then I left. But check this out, I do have the data right here. First of all, you won one and I won one.
Okay.
You won the first one because I red lit.
Oh.
I won the second one because you red lit.
I did?
Yes, you
Oh
did.
my God.
However,
Oh, God.
check this data. This is what saves the episode, in my opinion, because I'm annoyed with myself and my car. But look at this, 60 foot, me, 1297. You, 1294.
Oh.
Okay.
It got better.
And 8th mile, 5.539 to 5.590.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh.
so they ran the same to the 8th mile. I was a little bit quicker. Out the back, me, 8718, you 8775.
Oh, that would have been a good race.
And you went 154, I went 152. If we had both been on the tree, that would have been a great race.
Wow.
First, let me go the negative. My car is 2/10 slow, and I was a disaster on the Christmas tree. Now let's go positive. We both ran 8s. You made more power than you ever have. You drove your car from Phoenix to here. We finally ran them both side by side. And if you bench race this ticket away from all of the reaction time garbage, they were really, really close, and it would have been a good race.
We're gonna have to do this again.
We have to do it again the right way. This was not that. Hemi in one piece is probably the biggest victory of the whole thing.
It's not on fire and the rods aren't laying on the ground. I'm good.